WCW sold out 1998. Is WCW dying already? Is it already a wrap? I'm going through all this stuff for the first time, and I thought it was a little later when things started getting a little squirrely, but January of 98? Are we there already? Perhaps it's a loaded question. If only I had like an hour or two to talk about it. You know what I mean? And perhaps, yes, that's a bit hyperbole. There is a lot of great stuff on this show, and we're approaching a very fun era for WCW, but there's a little, among all of the potpourri and the confetti and the piñatas, it's like, oh, there's a crack. Oh. That needs some epoxy. Oh. Gotta put my thumb in that hole to keep it from leaking. You know what I mean? Folks, it's a very explosive time in wrestling, and I'm happy to get into it, but I'm unhappy that there's not another Miss NWO this year. That really, pardon my French, that really ticks me off, gang, but we'll push through that glaring omission and get into everything else right here on the Apron Bump Podcast. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started. What's up, everybody? Howdy. Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I'm your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How is everybody doing today? We got a little WCW on our hands here, by God, 1998. Who is this voice? Who is this? I lost the gravel. Was that Tommy Rich? I was just doing? Didn't think that's how I would start the show, but it was. And only up from there. Welcome to the Apron. I already welcomed you guys. Man, we're already off the rails, but it is a WCW 1998 episode, so very appropriate. It is a fun one. We got a fun one on our hands, ladies and gents, for several different reasons. The first WCW pay-per-view of 1998 sold out. I mean, it's a pretty loaded show. NWO, of course, is all over the place. We'll get into where we are at with the NWO as we approach the Wolfpack era. We got a lot of turmoil within the faction. There's a lot of different pieces to kind of track, and to be honest, I don't even know if I completely have it right, but we'll work through it together. It's very volatile, I believe I said earlier, but it is. And we are fresh off of a Starrcade 1997, the very infamous pay-per-view, and the even more infamous finish to that pay-per-view. We covered it all in great detail on the last WCW episode that we did. Go check that out if you have not already, Starrcade 1997. But to briefly catch up, Sting made his valiant return in the main event of Starrcade to face Hulk Hogan and defeated Hulk Hogan for the World Heavyweight title. Kinda, with all of the ref shenanigans and the quick count that was supposed to be a quick count but wasn't. And then Bret Hart's there, and it's a weird moment. They didn't really land the plane on maybe the best storyline in WCW history, but that's in the past. All we can do is move towards the future to replicate that bullshit and keep digging our heels into it. They doubled down on the finish. They had the rematch on Nitro. We'll get into it in the episode, but man, ultimately the world title is vacated. On this show, we learn how that is going to be treated going forward in terms of who's going to be the next world champion. But don't fret, everybody. We got plenty of other title matches on the show. We got new TV champion Booker T finally breaking out as a singles, defending against Rick Martel, who is weirdly here in 1998, but I'm all for it. We got Chris Jericho challenging for the Cruiserweight title against Rey Mysterio, another new champion since Starrcade. So titles are flying all over the place. We got Macho Man versus Lex Luger. We got Bret Hart finally making his in-ring debut against Ric Flair. Woo! Or should I say, woo! Is that the same thing? I don't know. What else? What the hell else was on this show? Oh, we get some matches that we were supposed to get on Starrcade, but we didn't due to various reasons. Finally, we get Chris Benoit versus Raven, which is a sight to see. We get the Giant versus Kevin Nash. Man, infamous is the word. I'll just lay it out there. Plus a lot of other hullabaloo on this show. It is a great, great time. And it is even greater with my beautiful, beautiful guest, Juice Springsteen from the Juice Box Wrestling Podcast. Returning to the show, a world famous WCW shill, Mark, Stan, Glazer, whatever you want to call him, loves the WCW, and I honestly can't blame him. It's always a good old time having Juice on and talking about this wacky promotion. We get into all of the crevices of this event. Good old time with Juice. But if you want some more juice, if you are not satisfied with one carton, you want a whole box of juice, go check out the Juice Box Wrestling Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Juice has a very entertaining show, gets into all of the scuttlebutt of this wacky world of wrestling. It talks a lot of current stuff. I've been on there, puts out a lot of great content, this Juice Springsteen. So go check him out wherever you listen to podcasts. That is the Juice Box Podcast. I'll put all of his info in the description. All of my info is there as well if you want to follow me. YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe. If you're watching on, or listening on audio, you can watch on audio, I guess, too. Rate, review, all that stuff. You know, all this stuff. Join the Discord, yada, yada, yada. And before we get into it, one last thing before we get into all the meat and potatoes, we finally have the return of the hardest promotion battle of 1998. We witnessed in 1997, WCW was hardest. Again, go check out that episode if you have not already, and how we came to that conclusion. But the question is, can they maintain that momentum? WCW. They were red hot up until Starrcade, the very last days of 1997. But I dare say maybe things are starting to fall off a cliff here. Who knows? Who knows? Can they maintain that momentum? Can they be hardest in 1998? Or will WWF be hardest? Will ECW be hardest? Who's to say? Who's to say? For those unfamiliar, the hardest promotion battle is where we pit the major U.S. promotions in this time period, WWF, WCW, and ECW. They compete after every one of these 1998 reviews. We will end the episode by going to the scoreboard, where we will look at the best, the worst, all of it, matches, characters, storylines. We'll get into all of the details. I'll get into all the scoring and whatnot. But as of this point in time, as of January 24th, we'll see we're going to set the baseline, see who's hardest currently, and we will follow that trajectory all throughout the year. And whoever has the most points at the end of 1998 will be hardest. So make sure you stick around to the end of the episode for a very crucial element of the hardest promotion battle, as we set the tone for 1998. But I'm gonna quit babbling. Let's get into this bad boy, shall we? WCW Sold Out 1998 with myself and the boss, Juice Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen is the boss, right? That's not Billy Joel. Who is the boss? Mercedes or Sasha Banks is the boss. The boss, Bruce Springsteen. Okay, yeah, it is Bruce. Okay. Just want to make sure I had that right. Anyways, hit that transition music, Bartholomew. And it wouldn't be a juice bump episode without 5 reschedulings, but we made it. We made it.
Hey, life gets in the way, and I know WCW is the most important thing, at least on my end, but, sometimes it can't be.
You couldn't just, turn to the people you work with and be like, hey, guys, I know a lot going on here, but the world needs to hear about Rick Martel in 1998. You couldn't just yell that at people?
I mean, I would have, but, I don't know. Work's been pretty hellish lately, I got to be honest. So today I was like, I'm going to have an easier day. Yesterday I got home almost at 7, and I'm like, I'm glad I said something.
I mean, you could say maybe it's taking your soul, perhaps.
I sold out, baby. Look, I even worked for WCW. And this
t-shirt, huh?
This t-shirt, this is practically like a turtleneck. It's tight, but it's also like up high for some reason. And then the back of the shirt. Let's see. Let's make this crazy and make sure I trip over all of my cords.
Please. I like it.
Can you see it?
Yeah. It says sold out. Snickers. Who do you trust? Snickers. I forgot that. Snickers present Sold Out.
Snickers presented WrestleMania 17, and I can tell you honestly, this show blows that one out of the water.
You sure? It blows something.
There are some good parts. I'll say that.
It wasn't that bad of a show. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a bad show. It kind of felt like a bloated up Nitro maybe at certain points.
It did.
Weird.
It was weird having like, all right, this is the main event. Nah, just kidding. No, this is the main event. Just kidding. We're going to shoehorn in another main event. I'm like, what do we do? Come on.
It's a classic triple main event show, Juice.
Oh, yeah. That means if you have 3 main events, that usually means you have 0 main events.
No. There's 3 main events, right? Everybody's the main event. That's how that works, I think. Anything's a main event if you try hard enough.
The pay window was going to all the main eventers at this show.
Ooh, it's a wonder this company ain't around anymore. But anyways, Sold Out 1998. So you specifically wanted to well, I mean, you're down to watch any WCW show.
You're right.
What about Sold Out 1998 gets you in the cockles? Like, what's special about this show to you, do you think?
I mean, there's a few things. Even in the research for this show, maybe I just didn't even realize it, but there's only 4 sold outs. The first one is NWO branded.
I thought all of them were. And I was very excited. I thought we were going to get a Miss NWO Part 2. I thought we were going to have the dumb band ringside, but no, it's just a regular WCW pay-per-view.
Well, no, it's WCW NWO branded.
All right.
No, because Wikipedia had it grayed the one out, then it had a different shade of gray. So the first one was NWO only, quote unquote. The next 2 were WCW NWO. And then the last one was just WCW. So 4 of these shows run by 3 separate, it was the wildest. I'm like, what are we doing? The semantics of them trying to do this. I always felt it was weird when they combined the logo to make WCW NWO.
Yeah.
I remember the promos for, WCW and NWO present, but I was like, it just seems like they're pushing NWO as their own brand when that ship sailed, although Thunder had just began. So it was definitely something that, they were leaning into at the time.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's always presented on TV like they're 2 factions, WCW and NWO. So I get it. And I don't mind them committing to it. It is a bit silly, though, when you get into the semantics of it all. But
it can be, yeah.
But this show follows up the infamous Starrcade 97 pay-per-view, which, I mean, everybody knows the finish to that show, the Sting and Hogan debacle, the quick count that wasn't a quick count, the Nick Patricks, the Bret Harts, all of that hullabaloo. But something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is the fact that they did a rematch on the following Nitro, the following night, and essentially did the same finish, kinda. There was another situation where Hogan, I think this time Hogan rolled up Sting with the tights and got the 1, 2, 3. So it was a little bit dubious, at least. But then they restarted the match again, and then Sting beat him again, kinda. But then there was interference and a lot of. It was a big brouhaha to end the show, and the results with all this controversy is J.J. Dillon decided to just vacate the title, and we'll talk about that situation later, I guess. But what'd you think about, I guess, the Sting Hogan at Starrcade and then the follow-up, how they followed it up?
So you specifically were like, oh, well, you picked this show. And I was like, yeah, because the other show that you presented to me was Starrcade 97.
Right.
And I'm like, I've been so depressed from the time it happened until, I mean, maybe not the time it happened, because I was probably just thrilled as a, almost 5-year-old kid to be thrilled that Sting was champion. Little did I know that it was so convoluted and botched and the stuff that went into it down the road. So I was like, I didn't want to talk about that again. I've talked about that ad nauseum. We did a whole the Who Kills WCW series on Vice, and we had like a 4-part series talking about it. And I could have referenced that ending every time if I wanted to. So to get out of that, and now we get this show where, I mean, you say Bloated Nitro, they do have a segment on this pay-per-view.
Yeah,
like a segment where they talk about the title, and then the guys come out and then they set it up. Which again, I don't have a problem with, but it took up a significant chunk of time. It felt like in the middle of the show when you could have set that up on a Nitro, or hell, do a little. I mean, maybe it was too soon from the actual Starrcade 97 presser to do another like contract signing, but something to pop a rating would have made more sense to me. But I mean, even in 98, January of 98, it's so clear that Eric is just pushing the NWO thing no matter what. Whatever it is, like, we're still going to roll with this as long as we can. And some stuff works, some stuff is just not hitting at all. And we will discuss quite a bit of that, considering we had a bizarre 6-man. We had some stuff on this show that I was like, all right, it's okay. But again, why we had a weird 6-man at Starrcade.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre show, and I mean, this. I didn't watch WCW growing up. I do know certain things that happen, and there's one thing particular on this show that I knew happened at some point, but I was like, that probably happens in like 2000 or something. That seems like some WCW 2000 stuff, but it happens in January 98, baby. So,
man, see, I knew. I couldn't have told you when all these things were separate until I put it together. I knew it was like this show, but I also couldn't have told you what match it happened in, because I remember him more so coming out after the fact, like in other shows. And then I also was like, at the start of it, I'm like, oh, Sold Out 98. Like, this is the last Tony, Bobby, Dusty pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
On commentary, and then you find out why, and I'm like, oh, it all made sense. Of like, okay, well, there's a reason why it's the last one that they did.
Yeah, well, that actually confuses me more. I mean, I guess we'll talk about it when we get to it, but I figured
sure
there might be another angle on it, but we'll get to it. But
we'll talk about it.
We
you know me and my copious amounts of notes that I took for this program.
Boy, brother, you're telling me. So we open up this shit. First of all, the this intro package. I always like a goofy, like cinematic, like TNA always did it very well. WCW pretty much just
their voiceover guy for TNA was everything
Barry
felt
Scott.
like, yeah, it felt like the end of the world or the greatest event ever created in the history of mankind.
It could be a C-level pay-per-view with no titles on the line, but it's
lockdown.
It shows like a space shuttle going to the moon. John F. Kennedy. It's like, this is just as important. Billy Gunn versus fucking Shark Boy, like, or whatever. But we open up and it's sold out, and Eric Bischoff is in like a castle with candelabras. He's gonna take souls, etc., etc. Yeah, it's thematic. I don't mind it.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Twin Peaks?
I have not. No, I've been to Twin Peaks, the restaurant. Is that the same?
Oh. I don't think so. Although I think there's restaurants named. I think there's restaurants named after it, like a chain. But I think there's actually stuff that they reference the show. I don't know. Where did you go to that restaurant?
Do you know what Twin Peaks is?
I think I do know what Twin Peaks is. Yes,
it's like a Hooters adjacent.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was saying the chain. I don't think has any relation to the show.
No,
but if it took place in the Pacific Northwest, I would have said, well, maybe I buy it then, because that's where predominantly the show takes place. I had held off of watching it for a very long time because I always heard it was just amazing, and I'm like, nothing's gonna ever, like, I'm never gonna like it based on the hype. Like, you're ruining it. And then I found out like it's only 2 seasons originally, and then they do a 3rd season like 20 years later with a lot of the same cast. And then I started putting together stuff like I liked a lot of David Lynch's movies, and I'm like, maybe this would be something then. I finally watched it this past, I think just in the fall and winter with my girlfriend, just started from the beginning, and it was incredible. And it was so good. And just interesting and unique. And like, once you watch it, you'll kind of get why people, I think, like it. There's a charm to it. But I felt that this intro for this show was kind of coded in that weird, mysterious vibe. I don't know what they were going for. I mean, taking souls, be that as it may, but I don't know. These intros were always fun for me. This is better than the Super Brawl commercial we got later. Man's gotta have it.
Oh, that's the DDP one. Yeah. Steve, I don't even think I took notes on that one. I was like, I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen.
Oh no, we're bringing it up here, pal.
Oh, we're gonna blaze through it. But we are in Dayton, Ohio, here at the Hara Arena Conference and Exhibition Center. I only note that because when it opened up, I was like, this looks like a small venue. It's like 5,500 people, so it's not like crazy small. A lot of people today would love that, but like compared to like Starcade, obviously, it's like less than a third of the attendance.
Right. And that was in the MCI Center in DC. Now, I just looked this up only because it's Dayton, Ohio, and I vividly not remember, but I can recall from watching it after the fact, especially because we just had the anniversary of it a couple of days ago, I think, was King of the Ring 93 took place at the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. And I just looked, and it's double the capacity of this arena for sold out. So they took the approach I want AEW to take. Oh, there's two venues, but one's 5,000 and one's 10,000. What if we sold out the 5,000, literally, and then it looks better instead of 7,000 and a 10,000, and we don't have to tarp shit off. So give me that every time.
I agree. I wouldn't mind if WWE just did their TVs in smaller arenas to make their pay-per-views feel special, but
it would be great. Well, it sucks because it's like, well, let's do 15,000 screaming fans at this TV. And it only works if you do the PLEs at you have to go so much bigger. You have to go, we'll do a football stadium.
Right.
If it was tinier venue, then you could do, because the elephant in the room for me always is Madison Square Garden. And I know they're going to do Saturday night's main event there, which is going to be sick. And I can't wait for it next month or whenever this airs. But I want that. They could go back for a PLE. They could do WrestleMania there again. I know they could, and they would sell it out, and it would be astronomical prices, but it's astronomical as is. Why not make MSG special again? And I think maybe this Saturday night's main event's a little taste of it, because I think they're scared of running a show in a smaller venue for monetary reasons. But like, monetary.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They think it matters, but it doesn't. But that's a whole thing.
Money, hand over fist wherever they go. I don't think that's the problem.
Speaking of fist, boy, this first match was a big old fisting. We got an 8-man tag match on our hands here. Lucha Libre, or I guess, cruiserweights on our hands here. We got the team of Chavo Guerrero, Juventud Guerrera, Liz Mark Jr., and Super Calo versus El Dandy, La Parca, Psychosis, and Silver King. My goodness. So we are fresh off of Juventud's random 1-week cruiserweight title reign after beating the Ultimate Dragon and then losing to Rey Mysterio. But now he's in this opening Lucha 8-man. It's Lucha Rules, Juice, as we are
love that
told in the beginning, which, baffles Dusty and Bobby, obviously. But Mike Tenay's there. Thank God. But
yep, that's what I had. I said, you got to bring in Mike Tenay for this because these other guys aren't going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, if there was one guy in this match that stood out to you, who would that be? There's only one correct answer.
Personally, I would say La Parca, but yes. I had some notes on other guys in here that really kind of shocked me. But yeah, La Parca's always been my favorite. I really want. I guess they work. Is he AAA?
Well, I don't think it's the same one, right?
No, but the character I think is owned by AAA, which means WWE could work with them. I want them to tap back in and give me not just a La Parca figure, but I want them to make La Parca with the mask off and it's DDP. So I'm a big La Parca guy, the chairman of ECW of WCW.
That was Sequel Pay, I think.
Nope. That was Slamboree 98 when Malenko revealed himself to be Cyclope. That's not Cyclope?
Are you sure?
Come on.
I guess I'll trust you, I guess.
Come on. Who do you trust? Who do you trust?
Who do you? I mean, it's on the shirt. You know, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I wanted to plug in some stuff before we got to this match, but we started talking about it a little bit. But
no, plug me.
We'll shut the cameras off for that, or we don't have to.
Get the mics on.
But they bring up the Nash and the Giant like feud, and they said that it was $1.5 million like up in the air. Yeah, so no one can touch the other guy, which is funny how the ending was before the power bomb because he didn't touch him, but he like blinded him with hot coffee. So he could have done that at any point and been all right, we're good. Yeah. The Giant saying, "I just want him to show up," and he does the choke taunt, which we'll talk about
later. This is all during the Twin Peaks intro, by the way, with the smoke and the candles in the foreground.
I could have brought that up as well. And we kind of touched on this earlier. This is such a different vibe from the 97 Sold Out, where they were like, let's do an NWO pay-per-view. It's like, all right, that sucked. It didn't work. It was cool like to attempt that, but it didn't end up going well. So let's just call the pay-per-view Sold Out. And they said it sold out in 4 hours on day one of tickets. So WCW is pretty damn hot, even with Starrcade 97 ending how it did.
It'd be pretty embarrassing if a show called Sold Out didn't sell out. Maybe that's why they did a smaller venue to just assure that. So maybe it's smart, I guess. But yeah, then these little people come out and when the wrestling starts. Lots of dives. This match is constant pin breakups and shift of the legal men and dives to the outside. El Dandy's throwing himself all over that. This is my first El Dandy match I've ever seen. I always hear about him, but got to experience him here. Big fan of the Dand.
Yeah, almost as if there was total nonstop action during this match.
Don West is flipping in his grave.
And we'll talk about the greatest X Division champion ever doing a little tope. So
I have that exact same note, pretty much.
So this thing was chock full of Lucha Libre. I had Bobby Heenan. Dusty Rhodes is right there. And he goes, "This is the most prestigious wrestling family ever." Talking about like Chavo or someone. And I'm like, dude, Dusty's right there. And now Cody with there's more than one royal fit. Like, so it was just funny to hear Bobby say that. Like,
is that what Cody's intro is reference to? This comment by Bobby here in January of '98. I mean, maybe who's to say?
Who are you to doubt El Cody?
That's very true. I mean, the Parkas, big family, right? LA Park. Yeah. Is he in the family? Yeah. I don't know. Chris Park, Abyss, a lot of parks.
More TNA. More stuff we got here. Here's my the first three signs I saw in this show. Roddy Piper is a gimp.
Sure.
Benoit's boys. I don't know about that. And then the one that pissed me off, I'm like, this is going to be the most action you're going to see all night. Lucha Libre translation bathroom break. Give me a fucking break. This is the best match probably on the card outside of maybe one match. So that was annoying. Super Callow hit a crazy tilt-a-whirl. Hoovie's 450 was nuts, and I thought it was so tight. Like he had no room for error and just nailed it. La Parka hit a Whisper in the Wind, which was sick. They said, I think it was the DDT to finish it. Bobby said, planted him like a geranium. Don't be fooled by Silver King's deceptive, stocky physique. So that's a small way to call a dude fat, which it was very, very PC in that term. Sure. And Liz Mark Jr., quite frankly, surprised me in this match. And all I could think of, I don't know maybe why I never thought of it this way, but isn't there a printer brand named like Lexmark or something? And I'm like, that's all I'm thinking about is the printer. And that this printer. That's what it could be called. And he's just flying around. Making
you're all out of ink.
That's right. All out of ink. Bobby Heenan says, I like this La Parka. He's got pizzazz. That was such a good quote I felt
Yeah.
from Bobby there. I mean, he's on fire as he always is. And the only other thing, I really just liked that no matter what, all eight of these guys have this incredible match. At the end, La Parka gets his shit in and hits everybody with a chair.
Yeah, because I mean, Chavo gets the win with a tornado DDT to Psychosis, which caught me off guard. I didn't think Chavo was going to get the win here.
He gets a little shove in '98.
Yeah, he brings up the horse, right?
Pepe!
Is that 98? Is that later? Pepe.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a fun gimmick back in the day. Because I'm 5 years old, so I mean, I think I had a toy hobby horse around. I had Pepe, and I think someone stole Pepe. Might have been Saturn. I can't remember.
Yeah, you can.
A lot of storylines you got coming up in '98 to look for.
Golly, that's what I'm looking for. More Chavo
man.
Guerrero. That's what I always am yearning for. But yeah, it's the story coming out of this is La Parka. I mean, the steel chair comes out with the chair in his entrance. After the match, he takes out everybody, including his partners, with the chair, and then just the way he like folds up the chair and like sheaths it and then walks away. It's just, he's the best. He's the greatest of all time, I think.
That little La Parka strut is incredible.
It's he's the precursor to Penta, this La Parka, to a lot of people probably.
Yeah, Penta definitely derives his shtick, like his little strut to the ring. You can't tell me that's a little bit of a La Parka influence, and I'm sure he probably was, influenced by him at some point. So,
when you really think about it, the Oba Femi strut, it's kind of just a slower version of the La Parka walk.
The only thing La Parka does differently is he has his hands like back, like he does have pizzazz. He shifts his leg too and his knees, so he got moves, man.
He knows how to move it, this La Parka. But we got something a little different on deck after that. We got a Ravens rules match. We got Raven taking on Chris Benoit. A match that was supposed to happen at Starrcade, but I think Raven, I believe he had an inflamed pancreas and was not medically cleared to wrestle.
Damn.
So I think he had Saturn or whoever take his place, but he's here now. All good to go. They've been building up to this for a while. Benoit has just been going through the flock, and they all come out with Raven. We got Hammer, we got Kidman, Lodi, Riggs, Sick Boy.
Hammer.
Is he the only one that's passed in this group?
Well, yeah, in the group, I think, yeah. I was gonna say Benoit has.
Oh yeah, in the match, yeah. There's a couple people. Randy Anderson's probably the ref, but
yeah, Randy Anderson, yeah.
Sure. Weirdly, might be match of the night in terms of my eyes, at least in the conversation.
Yeah, well, the undercard, of course, does wonders for WCW here. Before we get to that, what were your thoughts on the transition to replays in this show? I thought you could maybe pull something like that out for this show where
maybe in post. Oh yeah,
I love that shit. It was like, all right, this is kind of
it's creative.
It's kind of it's very like not lame, but just like ordinary, quote unquote. But it literally is. It's perfect for that particular pay-per-view. That's all I want is a little bit of an attention to detail, and all the NWO is spray painting. It's genius.
Yeah. But it's not an NWO pay-per-view, but
that's right, it's WCW NWO.
Maybe the plan was to do an NWO pay-per-view again, but maybe at the last second, like after the fucking graphics guy already made the transition, they're like, know what, actually, we're not going to do it, but we can keep this transition, I guess, since you work so hard on it.
Sure. I mean, the NWO is such a focal point regardless, so.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really strike me as out of place or anything, but it was cool. It's very unique. Very unique.
They also promoted the pay per listen for Boston Brawl.
That was a little bit later, which I did note. Actually,
well, they did it early in the show. I had it. They mentioned it twice.
Maybe they did it twice.
I have it in the first one, but I want to say, I don't know if there's any TV or like video of it, but I'm pretty sure you can listen to the audio somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was audio exclusive.
Yeah,
pay-per-view.
Pay per listen.
Pay per listen, yes.
But I wanted to say I thought there was, maybe it was like like a fan cam that
There are some. I actually
leaked
did
out.
seek some out just to kind of see what it looked like, and yeah,
So that
it's a
stuff
live
is
event.
yeah. Well, because I think is it Zabisco? He might have his last match or one of his final like in '98. He has one. He has one at Boston Brawl like the following week. So
Right.
I was looking at
Oh,
when he
okay.
kind of wound his career down. So
Interesting. Yeah, it was
very interesting. But
paper. I mean, you don't have to.
$7.95. I'd listen to an audio pay per view for $7.95.
Well, apparently there were a lot of technical issues, and they had to refund pretty much everybody. So,
So they and well, on later on in the year, they're going to refund for the visual error at Havoc '98. So no matter audio or video, you just can't have any of them.
man, who killed WCW? We'll never know. We'll
The damn
never
audio guy.
know. But we could see this match here, Raven versus
Oh yeah.
Benoit, and hear it. It was a lot of chair shenanigans here, as per any
Raven's
Raven
rules.
match. You got the classic, the snapmares on the chair, the bulldog on the chair.
Yep. Benoit
Benoit.
hitting his fucking head off the guy. Cannot have a Benoit match with him unnecessarily taking a headbutt to the chair for offense. Come on.
Just the concept. Let's break this down. So Benoit puts a chair on top of Raven, who's on the ground.
Yep.
Benoit leaps off the top rope, headbutt to the chair on Raven. Is that I feel like that would hurt Benoit more than Raven, no?
It would hurt both of them equally if he hits it, but he's coming down with such force that even if Raven's knocked out, Benoit is like if Raven's damage went to 100%, Benoit's got to be at like 95.
Yeah, it's
because he knew what he was doing. Raven's just taken and he's just out, but Benoit's got to survive that somehow.
Well, he didn't. But he's there's a lot of wacky spots in this one. I love the intensity of it though. Like right from the beginning, the hot start by Raven, throwing him into the steps. Like I believe these two guys are fighting each other. It was a lot of good stuff. Just in general, just the pacing of this and the brutality of it, I liked. Any spots in particular other than the headbutt? Any spots in this one stick out to you?
I mean, I say that about every Benoit match, and that's what. It's not the most disappointing thing about the Benoit situation. Let's not get that misconstrued.
Sure.
But it is very frustrating to know, like, out of literally, if you say to a fan like you or I who's watched for 20 plus years, like, if there is one guy out of the rest that really made wrestling look real, offense and selling for defense, I would have to say Chris Benoit. Everything looks so real, like he's in. Literally, we watched the what was it, the Ming death match they had at Bashford Beach. So like these matches that he's having are just so hard hitting, but he sells everything. He puts his body on the line. Every move he takes looks crazy. So that it was wild. Dusty said, "Quote this, Raven, get the flock out of here," and that's the bottom line, which was fun. But before, as Benoit goes to the ring, you can lay out a lot of accolades about Chris Benoit. He's been in many wars.
It's not wrong. A lot of accolades for the Benoitster.
My God. And he also says, it won't be long before they bring a sofa into the ring, which I thought was also funny. But
you never know.
The finish I thought was great. Much like we've talked about with Raven matches in the last couple of shows you and I've done in particular. Whether he's talking about someone, like was it uncensored? He was like talking on the mic and, going through the pain. I'm going to make you feel this, like his poetic way of doing things. Him smiling and passing out. Man, John Cena should have taken notes on how to do that correctly because Raven did it, I thought, to perfection here.
Yeah, it was because Raven's like he tries to fight out, but then he just succumbs to it, and then he doesn't tap out. I believe, right? He passes out.
Literally what Cena should have done.
Should have taken his advice. Should have
watched this show.
Cena really should have sat back and watched Sold Out 1998 in anticipation for his match with Gunther. When you really think about it, it seems like the obvious call.
Now, there was I don't know if it was a documentary or if it was maybe one of Cena's DVDs early, like the My Life one or the Word Life one before he was real big. And they showed, it probably was Word Life. It was a single disc. But he, I think, shows he's got like drawers of wrestling tapes, and that like someone screen capped it, and you could see some of the stuff. And like I pointed out Super Brawl 3, which is an incredibly difficult VHS to find for one. But the fact that he was watching Vader and Sting, it's like no wonder this guy knows how to have babyface fire against monsters.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking like, man, he should have had Sold Out 98 in that tape collection.
He should have. He should.
You
Yeah,
never know when you're going to need it.
Prototype Cena is very similar to Surfer Sting. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, a lot of similarities, but never got that match, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I love the finish here. Like you mentioned, crossface. Raven passes out. Huge pop from the crowd, and this brings out the flock. Oh, by the way, the flock was removed. I think. Yeah, they were kicked out from ringside before the match, but they come out afterwards. Kidman comes out, or I think it's just Kidman comes out, and he's beating up Benoit, but Dean Malenko comes out to make the save, fights off
another huge pop,
Billy Kidman, which is like, I'm watching this like Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, like two just like wrestlers, two very just like white meat, not white meat, but you know what I mean, just like not cookie cutter either, just like wrestlers, generic white guys.
Wrestler, where all their business is in the ring. They might have a look to them, but there's really no entertainment charisma value that you could jump off the page like almost any other wrestler normally does.
And I think that's like, there's something to be said about just like letting wrestlers wrestle and letting the crowd respond to that. Even like, especially in 98, we're in like Attitude Era time period. There's such a emphasis on the characters, which of course that's what made the era. But like, even today, I feel like people just neglect, when I say people, I mean like the Triple H's of the world, the Bruce Pritchards of the world. It's like, who gives a fuck what happens in bell to bell? It's all about the character and the story. It's like, no, you can have just guys go out there and wrestle really well, and people will gravitate towards them, and then they'll be over that way. So I feel like a lot of people could learn. Chad Gable, but he's charismatic, so he has even more tools than that.
Right. Oh, sure, but it's just like all you need to do is have like you do the Kaiser and Gable under a mask with. It's like you give them a character, but all they did was have an incredible actual wrestling match, and it's like, this is all we needed. Like they didn't need to really jazz it up, but they did for whatever. But
yeah, no, I saw it was really interesting. Like '98, and like again, like it's such like a character driven era, but it was cool to see just wrestlers be so connected to the audience here. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and they got the little connection with the Horsemen, although Malenko, I don't think was in there until this year in '98 when they kind of closed out the stuff. But Benoit had been there previously. But these guys have been around in WCW for a couple years, and it is funny, like the longevity of wrestlers that were around when Nitro started compared to those coming in after the fact. Like Benoit and Malenko kind of were right there when Nitro began, so the fans saw them every week more often than not, when in years past, wrestlers like that, like a Too Cold Scorpio, for instance, like he might get the reaction because he's very charismatic and has a cool song, but he's not on TV every week doing wrestling where he could just get by with being a great wrestler too. So now these guys have been on TV a lot and they wrestle a lot. So it's like, all right, I know what I'm getting with these guys, and they're over. So
yeah, something that Flash Funk. Hopefully, I wish he could have gotten, but oh well. But two guys that I think did manage to figure it out a little bit. Yeah. We got the cruiserweight title on the line. Just funny considering who's in this match. Rey Mysterio defending against Chris Jericho.
Yeah, two future world champions in this match.
Multiple time world champions. One guy or both guys still wrestling. Gee whiz, man.
Yeah, that is nuts.
Like at a pretty high level too. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in terms of the backstory, so Jericho is starting to put together his character finally. Yeah, essentially slowly turned heel. Had a couple weeks where he would lose matches and then throw temper tantrums. He would smash a steel chair against the ringside post. He would rip, I believe it was Dave Penzer's tuxedo off. And then the next week he would buy him another one. And then he would throw another
tuxedo.
keeps ripping it. Just silly shit like that. And Jericho's got this like delusional kind of element to him now, which he's always been a good wrestler, but he never really had the character, never connected, but he's seemingly figuring that out here. And the Rey Mysterio is Rey Mysterio. Man, fun match here. I mean, you look at the guys involved. How is it not going to be a good match? Kind of a weird psychology to this match, I would say, and in a couple different ways, but I don't know. What do you think of this bad boy?
I mean, in a positive, it kind of came and went because it was just boom. Yeah. This is great, and by the time I was starting to get into it, it kind of ended. Which maybe that was my only negative, is that it could have went a little longer, especially considering the following segment is that long ass world title thing, which was practically the length of a match. So like you could have maybe given a little longer to those two guys, when considering there's only 2 title matches on this show, and this is one of them. So you'd think maybe we would extend the time by 5 minutes. I love realizing now that anytime Rey Mysterio was going to do a dive, but Jericho, goes out of the ring and Rey fakes it, he does the 619 to fake it. And I'm like, he was really good at that.
Yeah.
This whole time. And WWE was like, hey, that'd be cool for a move. And like, it is kind of wild to see, because it was never just like, I don't know, people shit on the 619 because of it. It's just so not lame, but you can see it coming a mile away.
Right.
In preparation for it. But it is a sick move. But to see him do something unrelated to the move, but he can do that particular feat of athleticism.
What if we just put the guy's head right here?
Imagine.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. And then you can only do this with a guy of Rey Mysterio's stature, but the top rope Hurricane Rana, and he just says, nah, I'm going to make you tap out with a lion tamer.
Like, just drops him in almost a pile driver. Yeah, again, like you said, if there was anybody any taller, which I think he has tried it on some taller people, and it has gone sideways a few times, but the Rana spiked him. His head didn't hit the mat, but just fell right into the lion tamer. And quick tap out. And it was a quick tap out because the lead up to that match, I mean, Ray's wearing the knee brace on his leg. He had an injury earlier in the year. And when he did that 619 through the ropes, he kind of went back into the ring and his leg just buckled.
Yep.
And but Jericho doesn't really attack the knee in this match, which is why I kind of said the psychology was a little weird for me. It felt like he was doing like a bunch of backbreakers and shit, but
get it set up for the lion tamer. It's more of a back move than it is a leg move.
Yeah, you know what? That's not bad. But also Ray's still doing like springboards and stuff. It's like, okay, but
true,
like, whatever.
True.
Whatever. I'll let it
slide. If anybody can make it through 58,000 knee surgeries, it'd be Rey Mysterio
in his left knee.
Yeah. Whichever one.
So, but yeah, no, Jericho wins, new cruiserweight champion, which is, I mean, I like it. He's got a hot character. He's got probably the best character in the cruiserweight division at this point. So, strap him up. Outside of La Parka, of course. I mean, that's
if he's a cruiserweight, but I don't know. I don't know if he'd call him that.
I know Silver King isn't, apparently, according to Mike Tenay. So
Mike Tenay, asshole.
Jericho grabs the mic. It was a bit of a corny shtick here. He's like, hey, don't you boo me. Don't you boo me. And then they boo him. And then he attacks Ray. Finally attacks the knee. Puts him on, it's kind of a creative spot here. He sets up some stairs on the outside. Straddles Ray over the stairs. And then takes some sort of box, some sort of like audio, whatever box.
Yeah.
And battering rams that box into the knee of Rey Mysterio, smashing it in between the box and the stairs. And Jericho just says sorry and then walks away. So, I thought that was a fun little angle there towards the end.
Yeah, I could definitely tell the sorry as he kept saying it. I'm like, this guy is so Canadian. It's so obvious.
Can't hide it. But yeah, solid match by the Cruisers. But then after that, well, we got the
Let's cool everybody down with a segment.
I mean, I don't know, man. This might be the most star-studded portion of the show. It's not a match, but very interesting placement here. We need an update on the vacant WCW title there, Juice.
Of course.
We got this big ball of charisma, JJ Dillon in the ring. holding the title, and Mean Gene's there. Now, we talked about the backstory, all of the Sting Hogan matches, the controversy. They vacated the title, and now we're here to figure out what we're going to do with that title. Is it going to be a tournament? Is it going to be like a 24/7 title where you just put it in the middle of the ring and see who takes it? Who knows? Who knows? But they couldn't figure it out. JJ Dillon and the committee, they couldn't figure it out. So they had to seek outside counsel from one Roderick Piper, the guy that was the interim commissioner at some point, and he was the one that actually made the match at Starrcade between Sting and Hogan. So they reached out to him, and Piper comes out. By the way, I'm kind of sick of Piper at this point in WCW. Like, enough. Fucking, it feels like,
man, you say that, you get more in 98, and then you get him again in the summer of 99. And you get him real late at Starrcade 99. I'm not going to give you too many spoilers, but you are not leaving Roderick Piper until maybe WCW 2000, which you got a whole new set of problems once you get to that.
Lots of problems, indeed. Piper's babbling. He's talking about whatever. He's like, oh, I made the match. I'm going to figure it out. And so he calls out Hulk Hogan. He calls out Sting. And with Hogan also comes out Scott Hall and Eric Bischoff. Scott Hall comes out because he won the World War III match in November and is the number one contender.
That we discussed.
Which feels like ages ago at this point, but he's still the number one contender somehow. And so the way I took this, Piper basically looked at Scott and was like, yeah, you won World War III. You're the number one contender. You have earned yourself a title opportunity, but go fuck yourself. See you later. Is that essentially the gist?
Yeah, because they knew that they messed up with the Sting Hogan thing and knew they had to like kind of redo it. And the way to get Scott Hall the title match guaranteed, but not shoehorn him into this particular feud, was to have a character, Piper, tell Scott Hall, like, you don't deserve this, or you don't deserve this particular spot. And then you end up, you'll get whoever comes out of Super Brawl for that title shot. So you can kind of serve as many masters as you can, where you get Scott Hall the actual title shot. You got to get another Hogan Sting match regardless, but you have a character that's a babyface to do that. And it also sets up the internal struggle between Scott Hall and Hogan. So
right,
a lot of moving pieces there, but if you watch the TV and then you end up seeing how it goes down in the following shows, you pick up on it.
So it's like a postponed title shot. He didn't just like take it away.
Yeah. Because it happens at Uncensored 98.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm fine with that. I'll give that okay.
So that's why that's funny that I love that you don't go into it like even knowing what could happen. So he does get it at Uncensored. So that's why I said like the only way to get him that match, but to have the storyline purposes still sync up, you had to have it go down like this with Piper as the mediator.
Right.
I had a couple of notes though. I'm shocked Hogan even showed up for this pay-per-view, considering it wasn't one of the big ones, although he was on it countless times to where I'm sure his paycheck, was big. Just seeing hearing, I mean, I know we've all heard the NWO music and it's annoying by now, I can't wait to talk about the, I know you did it with Sold Out 97, but I'm going to bring up and reenact some of my favorite sound bites from the song, the soundboard guy, once we get to later on in the show. But the 30th anniversary of the NWO is this year, and it's crazy that we're still like, this show has a lot of implications from the beginning of the NWO, and we're not really dead yet with it, I don't think, because I think we're tapering off, but then the Wolfpack starts becoming a thing, and I think that gives a lot of life to the brand as a whole. Maybe not black and white. The Wolfpack supersedes the black and white once we get there. And that goes all the way to Starrcade 98 with that, and then the Finger Poke of Doom when they've joined back together. So we're cooling off, but we're about to keep going. But it's just the fact that we're in the kind of the middle of it is wild, knowing that we're 30 years out from it. But Hogan and Hall and Bischoff coming out, like, I don't know. It's just, I have it later on, but Scott Hall was the coolest wrestler I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I know I probably have said it before, but just like, he does ooze machismo. He oozes aura. He's coming out, and no one bats an eye at like, no, he really is the coolest guy I've ever seen. Like, there is no character. He's just, this guy is who he is. It's amazing.
And it's like a universal opinion too. Like, nobody will disagree with that. You see this guy, it's like, oh, that's the only way to describe him, is cool.
And then my only other note was, although, you know, we're a month removed from Mamacita, but Sting doing the over exaggerated suck it like over and over and over and over and over again was just bizarre. Like, what are we doing?
That's just a clip of you that I have now.
You got Kevin Nash doing, like, you know, saying like, hey, Sean, or, you know, them doing little things back and forth on the shows, and then Sting is just saying suck it. And like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know what was that for? Because it's blending in stuff clearly from the other show.
Yeah, man, I don't give a fuck about Sting. Like, I get, like, in the time he was cool. Like, he is cool. Like, I could say he's still cool. But man, he was just like a god to the audience for some reason. And whenever I see him here, he just seems like a sad little depressed emo boy with face paint. It's like,
it's also after the mystique was gone. He hadn't talked for a very long time, and now he's doing run-ins without coming down from the rafters. Like, it's been a month since the biggest match of his life, and they've kind of taken away that little, you know, little nuance that made him huge. The fans still love him, but I agree with you. Like, he just seems like another character on the roster, which is very, very unfortunate considering he's Sting, for God's sake.
I mean, how much do you attribute that to the finish of Starrcade? Like, if that went over smoothly, or if it was just a clean finish, do you think it'd be a different story?
Probably. They probably don't have to even do this whole thing. They probably don't have to do any of this at all. We might have just Sting versus... It could just be Sting Hogan at this show, for all we know. Like, I don't know what the plans would have... maybe I'd have to go back and listen to like an 83 weeks or something. I don't even know if he would know, or maybe just Conrad would read the Meltzer report of what would have been next. But had Starrcade... Maybe I'll put that out on Twitter and see if he'll respond. But if Starrcade 97 had if it just happened like it was supposed to, what conceivably would Sold Out look like? Or what would Sting done at the next show? What would Hogan have done? Because that stuff I think is fascinating. Maybe if Bret's a part of that, you know, if he's always been a part of as the special guest referee, could it have been Sting and Bret at the next show? Could it have been Bret and Hogan at Sold Out, and Sting defends the title against Scott Hall? You know, like, there's a lot there that doesn't even happen at all, or gets pushed back, all because that awful finish to Starrcade 97.
Yeah, I mean, Google AI says take it for what it's worth.
Sure.
But
I'm not going to do that for a second.
I don't know if it's from Reddit. I don't know where it's pulling it from. But apparently a Sting Hogan rematch it could have been a possibility. It says Sting Hogan was going to happen, but so who knows how legitimate that is, but it would make sense.
True.
I mean,
I wonder where they pull that from, because that's also with the knowledge that they do have a second match. So it's easy for them to be like, well, when second match happens, therefore it could always have happened. But AI does not account for the fact that everybody in wrestling is a fucking liar. So it's like, who really knows what was going to happen?
Fucking pulling it from a Hogan interview, probably, but
like 5 different interviews that he said different things in, and they spliced it all together. And it sounds correct.
I'm surprised my computer didn't just burst into flames. So, yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. Like, I mean, well, Roddy's like, he tells Scott he's not going to get his title shot yet. And then he like does the whole like, all right, Hogan, yeah, you deserve the title, not, which is such like a 1998. Not.
He showed him.
Shut up, Roddy. He essentially is like, yeah, we're Sting Hogan Super Brawl is how we're gonna decide the new champion, and it's pretty cut and dry. Feels like this could have been an email, but 20-minute segment on a pay-per-view. Sure, why not?
God, I know.
get a little shoving, whatever. Hogan shoves staying. It's fine, but nothing we haven't seen on Nitro or Thunder before. So
exactly. Well, you say on Thunder before, it's only been around for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, man. What do you think about that? It's general thoughts on Thunder.
Well, it was ill-fated. It was created when it didn't need to be created. I don't think they kind of created it. I'll take Eric Bischoff on his word for this, that you got Bret Hart coming in. Of all the it's CM Punk and Collision. You have a guy that can anchor a show, and he can. Then why not? Like, give it a shot. But that is not going to prevent Eric, pronouns pal, from being able to cultivate good booking decisions and fill out the rest of the show. Because you can't just have Bret on the show every week and nothing else happens. So the idea, I think, was fine. And from what I recall, it was never Eric's idea. They were like, we're doing another show. Yeah. And he's like, oh, okay. Okay, we got Bret, so let's just do that. Like, they just came up with what they were going to run with because they were given the second show. And it's pre-SmackDown by a year. So this wasn't even in vogue to have a second show. But good for WWF to have WCW kind of accidentally have a second show and it not be so great. And then WWF cleans up and has their own show that they do better. And it's still a show today. So...
yeah, spreading themselves a little thin, one may say. Another wheel on the who killed WCW.
We'll keep bringing that back because it's death by 1,000 bad booking decisions.
Yeah, it really feels like Starrcade is like the beginning of it, but because they still have Saturday night. I think they still got Pro and
Worldwide. They got Pro, Worldwide, Main Event. They got all those shows still. And Nitro is about to go
3 hours. I think the next night. So,
well, the first one they ever did was the 100th, but it wasn't every week, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then they eventually turned it into 3. But they were this was the second wrestling boom. So they were like, everybody, let's go crazy.
More Silver King on my screen. That's all I need. He needs all those hours to fit on the goddamn screen. You know what I'm saying, Mike Tenay? This guy knows.
Hey, speaking of Don West, he was right to call Mike Tenay a selfish prick. Now that I think about it, when Don West turned heel, one of the great moments in TNA history.
Is that what Don was referencing? You think during that promo?
I like to think that.
I like it. Yeah, it's canon in my head, if nothing else. But after that segment, we got this fucking. Sometimes songs will get stuck in your head, right? As per anybody, this goddamn Rick Martel music has just been in the background of all my thoughts since for months. It feels like do. Oh, it's so good. I hated it at first, but it's catchy.
Well, and the fact that he's facing Booker T with one of the better WCW entrance songs. Yeah. So this is pretty good. And damn it, Rick Martel and WCW, this little brief blip of a run, it's so memorable, even if it's not memorable. Because he has the most, I'm going to say this right now, he is the most, Rick Martel in this particular match, I guess, or this 2-month run, has the most unique physique I've ever seen in a professional wrestler. He's like yoked, but he's like, maybe it's how he
he's like wide.
Is weird. Yeah, he's huge. And I'm like,
he's like,
I thought he was shredded, but this is like ridiculous.
I don't know what it's like. He's like defined and jacked, but he also kind of has like a belly, but it's like abs.
But it's how he stands is weird. Like he's he's almost like what do they call barrel chested, where he's just like he's round, but he's like defined. But how his stature was really throwing me off too, because how he was approaching Booker T in the ring at some points. And I'm like, I'm really noticing the physique more when he's not just standing there. And I'm like, he's like jacked all up and down here.
He's a beefy boy, this Rick Martel.
Just for this little run, which is unfortunate, and you'll see that at the next pay-per-view.
I'm vaguely familiar.
Yeah, he still guts out the match, though. I'll give him credit.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten a lot of Rick Martel. His timeline precedes anything I've done with the podcast, and I've watched a little bit of the model stuff, but I haven't seen a lot of Strike Force or
That's the key. Strikeforce is probably more of what you want to see. What I'd like to go back and watch is some of his AWA stuff when he was world champion and that type of thing, because he's a hell of a wrestler. And they brought up Arn Anderson's Spinebuster when Martel hit it, and I'm like, I looked it up, and they never had a one-on-one match, which is frustrating. They were tag team foes at WrestleMania 5 with the Brainbusters and Strikeforce, but they never had a one-on-one. And I'm like, those two dudes are like two sides of the same coin, but I want to see that type of match happen.
Yeah, and I mean, we're at the tail end of a very tail end of Rick Martel's career here. Couldn't be closer. But goddamn, I thought it was a really good match. I don't think it was super hot. Same. I don't know how much the crowd really cared about it, but it was like a really snug, intense, like technically solid match. I really enjoyed this. It made me want to watch more Rick Martel stuff because he looked really good here. And we're at the very beginning of Booker T and his kind of singles push. He just recently won the TV title from Disco Inferno on Nitro. And the story is that he only won that title because Rick Martel was scheduled to win it, but forgot his boots at home. So Booker T ended up winning the title. That's according to Booker. Who knows how true that is? But now we got this feud coming out of it, and the build-up's been, Rick Martel's kind of befriended Booker. He's helped him fight off. Like I think it was like Mortis and Wrath were beating up on Booker, and then Rick Martel comes and clears house, and there's been like flock stuff. And Martel's like, "Look, I saved you. Can I have a title match?" And Booker's like, "All right." So that's how we're here.
Babyface fire, Rick Martel. Love that.
Yeah, hit that. Harlem Heat. I mean, it's all intertwines. But just a really, really solid match. Anything about this stick out to you?
Well, like you said, the snugness of it. I mean, Booker's hitting Martel with like these spin kicks or kicks that like Booker knows where he wants it to land, but who knows if it'll land. And yet it was dead on accurate, and Martel's selling I thought was fantastic. Everything looked tight. Everything looked good. These are just two really great wrestlers. This is exactly what the TV title was meant to be.
Yeah.
Especially in this time frame. I mean, it had that in the past with your Regals and Zbyszko and other TV champions.
Steve Austin.
Arn Anderson, Steve Austin. So, I mean, there's definitely like a blueprint for what that title kind of meant. Kind of like your Intercontinental title, because the U.S. title was presented as the next before the world title, and it wasn't presented as the workhorse like the IC was, even though they were kind of in that same realm. The TV title was like that extra title that WWF didn't have, so that was the workhorse title in my estimation. So I really liked it. Like I said, this little blip for Rick Martel was kind of cool, and I think he does end up winning the TV title at some point in between now and Super Brawl. So
I'm all for it. But it is not on this occasion where you got scissor kick from Booker, side slam, and then the Harlem Hangover for the win, which is his front flip senton into a leg drop off the top rope, which he always seems to just nail perfectly. I was about to say I'm surprised he didn't stick with it, but I'm sure that's hell on your hips. So I'm not surprised.
God. Yeah.
But yeah, good finish, good match. And then fucking Saturn storms the ring, who was recently TV champion, and I guess he wants that belt back. Attacks Martel after Booker leaves, and then yells "Stooge" in the camera, which I don't know what that was a reference to, but it's Perry Saturn, so you can't really, take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought it was a good match, and the Saturn interaction was bizarre, but they all have this interaction, and then Super Brawl involves all three of them. So there you go.
TV title picture looking pretty healthy at this point, but you brought him up. Old Larry Zbyszko is in this next contest, taking on Scott Hall. Yeah. Man, a long time coming. Build, back to the AWA days where these guys were. And it feels like Larry and Scott have been chirping at each other for months and months, and we finally have a one-on-one match here between the two. This Louis Spicolli involvement, very interesting, huh? Especially given the timeline.
Yeah, I got a lot for this match. So I mean, the Spicoli thing was, it's more fascinating when you know the timeline of events, because he passes away 22 days after this show.
Right.
So, I mean, this easily could have been, he could have been involved with certain parts of this story, and who knows where it would have gone after this. I mean, for a guy who was just, was he Radford? Wasn't that his
Mm-hmm.
gimmick in WWE?
Yep.
Like a really like nothing gimmick, kind of became prominent in ECW. And then,
Great
like,
run.
as soon as he hit a stride there, WCW takes him, but then, you know, it's over so quick. So I don't really know what was gonna end up happening with Louis, but seeing, I don't know who quoted him, but they said that he was kind of like the Chris Farley of pro wrestling. Like, that's what they wanted him to
Right.
be, which I get. And he's very good with physical bits and selling. So like that, definitely I could see where that is coming from. It's just unfortunate we never really got to see anymore.
Yeah, I covered his ECW run, which is, I mean, a lot of solid stuff. He was initially presented as like a legit wrestler. Kind of got weird with his storyline with Tommy Dreamer, where he was starting to dress like Tommy, and he still kind of is at this point. He still kind of just carried that forward. But yeah, so he's basically what happened on Nitro. It was going to be Scott Hall versus Louis Spicoli, but then as Scott Hall is doing his promo shtick in the beginning, he like hands the mic to Louis, and Louis like, "I'm Louis Spicoli." It's like he's like trying to be a friend. It's very akin to like Sami Zayn trying to enter the bloodline. It's Louis trying to be a NWO guy. It seems like he's wearing the Outsiders shirt here, coming out here with Scott Hall, and also I think was it either Thunder or Nitro. Louis brought out Larry Zabisco's golf clubs and snapped a bunch of them in half to kind of coax him in. It was a weird little segment, but and then Larry has been building up. He says, I'm coming, and I'm not coming alone." Oh yeah. And he brings out, Larry walks out, gets halfway down the ramp and points to the commentary table, and old Dusty Rhodes stands up and is going to be his manager, I guess, for this match. Larry's manager. Man, where do we even begin here? Larry versus Scott Hall.
Canadian tuxedo Dusty.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they presented him again. I knowing what's going to happen, but seeing when you know something is going to happen, you kind of know the end. I will watch. I will watch what happened in the end. You know, that's the clip, right? Him taking his shirt off and unbuttoning it, but you don't see the walk to the ring because it doesn't give it away. Louis was with Scott. Larry needed someone. He points to Dusty, who's on commentary, who is a wrestler. He's done these types of things before. I buy it. And you don't, and you know, only knowing now he's got a button up shirt. So what could that be used for? But like, you don't even know it's buttoned all the way to the top. So like, nothing gives it away, which I love. Like, that type of stuff doesn't happen a lot in wrestling anymore, where nothing's as telegraphed, you know,
Right.
or given away, or let to breathe even for a moment before they reveal what's going to happen. So go ahead.
No, yeah, no. I was when Dusty started walking down, because again, I knew this happened, but I thought it was much later. So I'm like, oh, it's Dusty. He's trying to neutralize Louis Spicoli. I mean, they're similar, I guess. Whatever. Dusty could take out Louis. It makes sense.
Exactly.
But it was in the back of my head. Like, was it here? Was it here? But the match happens. It's kind of just a whatever match. Honestly, the match itself, I thought, very. We see a lot today, like dueling chants, like chanting for each guy. You don't see a lot of dueling sucks chants. There's a Larry sucks chants, then there's a Hall sucks chants. I don't know. I guess it just split down the middle here in Dayton. But
Are we sure it wasn't a Louis sucks chant?
that's a good point. Actually, might need to review the tape because they were pretty hot for Larry. So that caught me off guard. I was like, oh, these people don't like.
I know. Well, yeah, right. Yeah. Nitro commentator, so living legend.
I mean, weirdly, people are into this, the Larry land. So whatever, I guess. Yeah, Louis sucks. That actually makes a lot more sense. But whatever the case is, the finish, they're kind of just grappling. Honestly, not a ton of like intensity to this. With the amount of build, you think there'd be more of like a fight feel to this.
Yeah.
but I guess they're just two guys trying to out wrestle each other, which also makes sense. But the finish, just a hilarious ref bump here.
So did you notice that they tried it twice?
Yep. Yes, I did.
And I was like, oh, they're just going to do it again. And they did it again, and it still was like clunky. I'm like, just stop. Enough. The bit ain't working.
So what exactly happened the first time? I know Larry ended up taking like a really awkward bump at some point.
I think it was just supposed to be like the referee was in the way, but like no one moved out of the way. The referee really didn't get taken out the first time, and it was just it just didn't work. And they were like, oh, let's just do it again. And then, like,
it was supposed to be a ref bump, and then Scott Hall was gonna give a lariat to Larry, but the first time the ref didn't get in the way, like you mentioned. Scott still gives a lariat to Larry, but Larry sees that the ref didn't go down.
Yeah.
So he's like not sure if he wants to bump or not, and he gets hit forward, then falls backwards. It was very weird. But then they do it again, like you mentioned, and I don't know. I haven't seen a ton of Larry Zbyszko matches. Is a spinning kick to the kidney one of his signature moves?
I mean, this is like tail end of his. That he's not an in-ring guy at this point. Like whenever he was like 94 was probably his last little run, and he's wrestling for the TV title, so he's having pretty solid matches with William Regal, or Lord Steven Regal. So I don't think that move was a part of his repertoire then. But was it? Who did he wrestle at Starrcade? Was it Bischoff?
Yes, Bischoff with a referee.
Right. So that's why I'm thinking maybe he just took from that, like Bischoff's throwing kicks. I want to throw kicks. I think he just kind of incorporated that into his move set for the next, this show.
So you think like in his fight camp, when he was preparing to fight Bischoff, Larry's in there like hitting the heavy bag with roundhouse kicks, spinning kicks, and now it's just a part of his moveset.
The Silver King bag.
God, R.I.P. Silver King.
I know, I feel bad, but I heard that from Mike today, and I'm like, did you have to say that? Like, not all these guys are little cruiserweights. You could say all of them are stocky.
Hey, man, if you listen to Mike today, maybe he'd still be alive. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Larry he becomes Ultimo Dragon at some points and goes for a spinning kick to the gut, and the ref kind of gets in the way, and the ref takes the bump, but apparently just shatters his kidneys, and the ref crumples. Scott hits a clothesline on the Larry, goes for the pin, but there's no referee. Scott goes to wake up the ref, turns around. Larry's playing possum, pulls him into a guillotine, and then Louis Spicolli storms the ring to try to break this up, starts beating up on Larry. But then Dusty Rhodes gets in there to take out Louis. By the way, he takes out Louis Spicolli. Louis takes a couple of bionic elbows, I think.
The crowd is absolutely unhinged at this point. I'm like,
how
dude,
could you not be?
I'm like, but whatever year it is, Dusty Rhodes is years after the fact, and all he's doing is getting in, hitting his move. But the fans were kind of meh, and then as soon as he hits the ring, there's flash bulbs going off, everybody's standing, and it's just mayhem. Dude, and I'm like,
2014, he was still doing this with Cody and the Shield and all that. But. Oh, Larry Zbyszko holds up Scott Hall for Dusty to give him one big bionic elbow. He throws the elbow, but the elbow hits Larry in the head. Commentary's confused. They seem to think that Scott just moved out of the way, which I think kind of took away from it a little bit.
It did, and Bobby Heenan, after everything happens, goes to the replay, and he's like, "Oh, and he hits Larry. Now Larry could have, been fine with that. He could have accepted that was what it was, like an accident, So they kind of played. They kind of made a addendum. Addendum. Yeah, big words. To that whole thing, because it was confusing. They didn't really know, because it was the best part is when he takes his shirt off, because he's still. The commentary still doesn't really, they don't go, oh my God. It takes like a little longer than I thought. I'm like,
Tony couldn't even fathom the possibility of his good friend. He couldn't even,
quote, I live near the man. That's what he said about Dusty. Our kids played it. He goes, our kids play together. And Bobby's like, what about, like, is that ever going to happen again? Tony, in the sullen voice, goes, I don't know.
We'll touch on that because the next match is pretty much just a backdrop for more of that.
I know.
But yeah, Dusty turns heel, joins the NWO. He takes off the denim jacket or shirt and unveils an NWO shirt. And then he gives a grounded elbow to Larry, solidifying the heel turn. Well, if the shirt didn't do it enough.
It didn't for the commentary. They're like, oh, he's just wearing an NWO shirt. How funny.
Well, it's not possible for Dusty Rhodes, our good friend Dusty. He wouldn't do this. He wouldn't do this, but he did. And you mentioned it's pretty much the end of his commentary role. My thought watching this was like, well, because what could be the reason? Why would Dusty join the NWO? Well, maybe it's because they want to give NWO a presence on commentary to kind of be like a heel commentator. So that was my thought. I was like, oh, it kind of makes sense if that's what they're going to do, but apparently they don't do that.
No, they don't. But that would have made a lot of sense. But Dusty's just out with Scott Hall. I think he's with him at Uncensored as like his manager for that world title match. So
interesting.
Just to give a little bit of a rub. I mean, adding Dusty, that's my big takeaway is like people shit on this and be like, oh, man, even Dusty Rhodes was in the NWO. Yeah, but like he had cachet. He wasn't.
Yeah.
No offense, but he wasn't, Buff or Scott Norton or a B team guy. He was a big star that decided to turn with these guys and gave a little bit of a boost to whoever he was with. It wasn't just a guy in the background. It's Dusty Rhodes, for God's sake.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's synonymous with WCW in a lot of ways. So, I mean, he's arguably a Mount Rushmore guy of the promotion. Yeah. So, like, yeah, to your point, gives him a lot of, gives him a boost, big name, huge name, and a shocking moment. I mean, I don't think anybody was, I don't know if the dirt sheets were calling for this. I would be surprised if they were.
Probably not. But do we have anything else before we move to the next match? Because I wanted to touch on some stuff.
Yeah, touch me all over.
Oh, it's okay. So here are my pathetic attempts at the song. But we had new. I thought they hit new like 11 times. World Order. I thought the Dusty involvement was perfect. Like I said, where he came out and you really didn't think. If you don't know the end, there's no way when he comes out that you're thinking he's going to turn on Larry Zbyszko. No way.
Right.
I love that Larry came out to the Nitro song. I thought that was awesome. I'm like, he represents the brand. Like, I don't. What are you gonna? What's Larry Zbyszko's theme song? I don't know what it is. So, like, you're just gonna come up with something for nothing? He's synonymous with Nitro. It was bizarre at the start because I'm like, what are we cutting into hour 3 of Nitro here? Because that's what they would do. They'd hit the pyro and
just make him come out to the song that like the Hollywood Blonde song, the song that everybody else came out to, like Greg Valentine and Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, they could have done that. Something happened where Dusty. So Dusty's on the outside. Louie's trying to help Scott Hall in the match, like with vocally. Dusty's starting to say stuff to Scott Hall, and Tony kind of references that happening, and Bobby just goes, "Well, the only difference is Zbyszko can't understand it." It really didn't matter. The fall-away slam from Scott Hall is just beautiful. What a move!
Oh yeah, is. Sack of shit slam.
Yeah. I just have Dusty's so over. Like it's unbelievable. I mean, maybe it's not unbelievable, but just seeing him, he's not a focal part of the show, and then all of a sudden he's a part of this match, and he's just everybody loves him, and it's just like,
yeah,
it's wild that all that charisma is just sitting at the desk, and then you bring him out there, and it's just like pandemonium for the guy, And they're not in Florida; they're in Dayton, Ohio, for God's sake. Like this is a nothing random Midwest.
He's show. Big everywhere, baby.
Yeah, I enjoyed everything about this, just story based, because the match was what it was. But Larry Zbyszko, Pittsburgh legend, so it was cool to see him in this little last stand here, and you get Dusty Rhodes in the NWO. I brought up action figures before, and I always do on this show because I like to see what they can immortalize. The Build-A-Figure in one of the Monday Night Wars line was Dusty Rhodes in the NWO. So, and it was just him with the shirt. I wish it was the Canadian tuxedo, because that's a hell of a look. When you see, and he has the WCW hat on, the purple and gold one. So it was almost like too obvious now that I think about it. Like, I'm with WCW. Don't you forget it now.
I know that when the show opened up and he's wearing this Canadian tuxedo, all denim, and then a purple and yellow hat. That did strike me as weird watching it. But I was like, that's Dusty, whatever.
Yeah, it's normally, well, if it was Hog Wild or Road Wild, you go, okay, I believe it. Because he'd wear the chaps or short shorts and leather vest. And, oh, man. But those shows was great. Well, we'll talk about that in the next match. Because this next match, I don't know, man.
Well, did you have anything else on Larry Z and
no, and I remember we talked about Fall Brawl and how that went. You know, that was like a fun, like with Luger and Hall and the fast count with Larry. So I mean, this has been building forever, and they have a history with the AWA, which I think I don't know if I brought that up to you and you were like, oh, you know what? I didn't really pick up on that. Like, those guys had been around for so long. Like, clearly they had chemistry to where it was fine. And that was September. And now we're in January and they're kind of concluding that. So that's good story building, not in the main event level. So I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad. I mean, crowd seems to respond to it pretty well. But yeah, Dusty and the NWO. We'll see. I'm not too familiar with it outside of the turn itself. But by golly, I'm looking forward to it. And but you know who's not looking forward to it is Tony Schiavone. Like we mentioned, he can't even talk. He's
can we get Tenay over here, please? Thank you.
I think he was great here, Tony Schiavone.
He was beside himself. I like it. He had Heenan kind of drive the show.
He was our friends play together, or our kids play together.
I live near the man.
He says, I guess Dusty was a big part in getting Tony the gig at WC or the NWA at the time. Like you see, calls Mike Tenay. Can somebody get Mike Tenay out here?
Thank you.
I don't know if I can. Yeah, thank you. And Mike Tenay takes his time getting to the table.
And the best part about that is that it's all audio. Like, they don't show that, you know. So for all we know, they're just working. Like, they're just talking like this, very casual, like you and I are. But he gets into that character, and Mike Tenay could just be standing. He could be sitting at the desk already. But the live audience would know that, but we wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
So all we know, he's calling an assistant over to grab Mike Tenay and get him over here. And so, like, I like that it's storytelling. Just
it feels
audio.
genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like a spectacle. It's not like, here's the segment where Mike Tenay comes in. It's just like,
Tony Schiavone's gonna go to the ring and they're gonna do another 20-minute segment. I have to leave. Mike Tenay can come in. I cannot handle this anymore. I'll see you guys on Nitro in a couple of nights.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. But this next match is, again, it's just like there is some like important story beats happening, but ultimately the match itself is just a backdrop for the audio stuff that we're talking about. It's a 6-man tag. We got the team of Ray Traylor, Big Bubber.
Bubber. Well, that's what was a frustrating thing. Of course, Dusty Rhodes leaves before he gets to call a Bubber match.
Oh man, he got some plunder though. Thank God.
He did. He did.
We got Big Bubber and the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, taking on the NWO, represented by Buff Bagwell, Conan, and Scott Norton.
For life.
B Team for life coming out here.
Sweet!
Loser. And again, I mean, not a lot to this match. The story coming into this.
New world order.
Do I have any? I don't know how I don't have this stuff on my soundboard here. That needs to be,
I just was hoping, like, I'm listening to them come out and I'm like, how many different bites are they going to play? Because Savages, they do the, ooh, yeah, but this is a specialized one. Or Hogan's is the biggest icon in pro wrestling.
It's so bad. And like the NWO B Team music is alone is like,
Down, down.
It's just like, I don't know. It's like video game menu music. Like, who gives
It
a shit? It's
is.
like
It really is.
it's very bad. It's very bad, and they've been using
But
it for over a year now.
I could do the just hearing the life, just like
I hear
spurts
it.
in, but the sweet. I just like I want to know. I want to see like the boardroom meeting of like, all right, hey, you know what? You do a great job at those like, oh, this is the new song we're coming up with for a guy
Oh
videos.
yeah,
You got to do one
yeah.
for the NWO because I was gonna say like, what boardroom meeting were they sitting? Okay. So we can't just have the same music. We got to add a little pizzazz to this, maybe a little juice, if you will, if you will. So what kind of things can you add to it? And they just write down little ad libs. It's almost like a Migos song where they're like, "Mama," but it's these random things that they have, and I think it adds a little character to this otherwise generic ass menu music for the NWOB team. But I think you should run with that. I think you got a gold mine there.
I like it. Yeah, it's like, oh, do we add more instruments? Do we add a different, like, do we add vocals? No, let's just add clumsily some sound bites of a guy. Hey, Jim over there. Can you record some stuff? Yeah,
Life.
for life. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was great stuff. It's great stuff. But yeah, B team's out here and Steiner. So we're at the very tail end of the Steiner brothers here.
Last Steiner Brothers pay-per-view.
Big time
Pretty
deal
crazy.
here.
You'd have thought it was a little later. Like I get some of these things mixed up. Like Super Brawl 8 and 9 have huge moments. Super Brawl 8 is the turn of Scott Steiner to Big Papa Pump, and then Super Brawl 9 is when Rey Mysterio loses his mask. So like two massive things that happen to legendary legacy acts of WCW take place at Super Brawl back to back. So it's like I forgot that this happened so early in 98 where he's Big Papa Pump for the rest of his career.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, we've talked about it a lot. This gradual werewolf transformation, the goatee, the black hair, the black leather singlet, like it's slowly been evolving, but we're about to come to a head here. Not quite yet. But on Nitro, the Steiners have been in tag team matches, and Scott will start and he'll just beat the other team without Rick's help. And Rick's been pissed. He's like, why won't you let me help? Why aren't you getting me involved? And that's been a running theme here. But my answer to that is like, if you don't need your partner, why use them?
And I got to say, I'm glad you brought up some of the stuff that happened before this show on TV, because I'm watching this match. Maybe I'm just lost in the storyline progression because we're watching just the pay-per-view. And I'm like, I did not recall, even rewatching it as an adult, like I did not recall them telegraphing the Scott Steiner heel turn. I thought it kind of came out of nowhere because this is just like the Dusty thing. Like in the moment when it happens, I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to turn on Rick and that's the end of it. And he's Big Papa Pump. But I did not realize that not only did it fester in this match where Scott and him have a weird interaction, and then Scott and Buff have that bizarre muscle like interaction. This has been happening on the TVs prior, which maybe I just wasn't privy to, but I'm like, I kind of hate that. I kind of wish it would have been out of nowhere, because now I'm like, well, you could have seen Scott Steiner was going to turn on him. You might not ever have thought it would have happened, but they're telling you it's going to happen.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it did kind of come out of nowhere, like Scott all of a sudden being a dick. But yeah, they have been doing it for a few weeks. Like I said, Scott basically too big for the tag team is kind of his impression here, and kind of keep the same theme in this match where Rick's getting beat up for most of it, pretty much all of it, honestly, like 99% of it seems like. And he finally makes the hot tag to both Ray Traylor and Scott at the same time. So I guess they're both legal. I think Bubber technically got the tag, but Scott still gets in there, clears house. Scott clears house. He's suplexing everybody. He's clotheslining everybody. And then Bubba's just struggling with Conan in the corner. And then Scott saves him. with Dragon Suplex to Conan, and then Scott wins with the Steiner. That's a hard thing to say.
Say that 5 times.
Steiner screwdriver.
You sound like Scott Steiner.
One thing is, and then he got 2 guys get in there, and 3. That means 2/3 or whatever. And
all that meant was I can't talk either. It just meant disaster, spelled disaster for somebody. It sold out.
There we go. But yeah, Scott dominates and wins. It's like, am I supposed to hate this guy? He's just way better than his partners, you know?
I know. And that's the other thing is like, if you're watching this and you're like, maybe he might join the NWO or just leave Rick. And then you see him wrestle and you're like, you know what? Maybe he would be better by himself. So again, this is kind of, it flabbergasts me that I didn't really pick up on. Like, they really are telegraphing this as like, hey, this guy's because there's probably another camp that would say, well, they're telegraphing Scott because it's actually going to be Rick, but that was never going to happen because Rick has charisma, but he's not a really great promo or anything. Scott has the body to where he can overcome any bad promo and in fact turn bad promos into memorable promos. So he really was the total package, and we're not even at Lex Luger's match yet.
Whoa, don't let Lex hear that. But this shirt's too tight, Billy. But yeah, Scott wins. And that's pretty. But all this is happening, and Tony's just like the sad boy on commentary.
Can we get Tenay over here? I can't do this.
Just I don't know if I'll come to this desk again, or whatever he's saying.
So my only other thing. Well, so I had 2 things. That with a Scott Steiner thing, but at one point, Buff Bagwell gives Conan a 2 sweet, but they did not consider that a tag, and I'm like, well. Did you air sweet him? Because if you touch him, he's got to come in. The referee was doing a shit job. And then I just have Steiner screwdriver JFC, because that is a devastating maneuver that he hit more often in early WCW or in his New Japan days. I think he might have hit it once or twice in the WWF, but I would never want to take that move from anybody. Although I think he was pretty safe with it, all things considered. But my God, that is like the last wrestling move I'd ever want to take from anybody.
Yeah, I don't think, did he ever hurt anybody with that? Because it's, for those unfamiliar, it's like a suplex into a pile driver, like the version that injured Stone Cold.
Yeah, and it is a standing suplex that he spins you into a sit down tombstone, which is like, even saying it, it's like you couldn't write that down and expect someone to be able to pull that off, let alone often. So that was crazy.
Well, Gemini says he never injured anybody, so I guess that's it.
AI with the apron bump. That's the newest segment here on the apron bump.
This whole episode's actually AI. You're not even here. But yeah, no, so good stuff there, I guess. Do you have anything else on that match? I mean, there's a lot of goofy characters involved, but not a ton of substance to the match, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I had anything else specifically on that. It was just, another 6-man that felt like, all right, we gotta, get these guys on the show. It's somewhat of a cool down before the main event or second main event or third, whatever the fuck they're doing here.
Well, but we got the first of the third. So we got the first main event match on our hands here next. And it's funny, we're just talking about,
I thought it was a triple main event. So this is a second main event coming up.
No, there's 3 matches left that we need to talk about.
Oh. No, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
Well, you think that 6-man was a main event?
Well, yeah. Come on. We already had one of the main events. But, I mean, you could have even conceivably put forth that the Scott Hall Zbyszko match had some big implications. You could have made that a quadruple main event. Instead of Night of Champions, Night of Main Events. Every match is a main event.
I like Saturday night main event. This is a Saturday pay-per-view.
In September, they're running Sunday night main event. Love that.
Anyways, love that, you said. But, we were just talking about, I wonder if he ever injured anybody by dropping him on his head. Talking about Scott Steiner. Well, what a segue into this next match.
This match, there's so much good stuff in it. So I can't wait to talk about it.
I remember downloading the clip of this finish on LimeWire back in the day.
Me, same. I'm not even kidding. The same thing, because I could in my sleep give you just the audio. Is he going to try to jackknife him? Oh my!
Yeah.
And he did. Correct me if I'm wrong. He hit it on him at Super Brawl 7?
He did end up hitting it on Kevin Nash to Giant.
And it looked great. Well, as great as it could be. But that was a few pounds ago, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't know. And there's another element too, which we'll talk about. But yeah, when I was watching this, because obviously I knew that spot happened at some point. I wasn't sure if it was sold out, because I know he did hit the move cleanly at one point and then botched it at one point. I was watching this and I'm literally watching it. I'm like, I don't know if he's going to hit it or not. And then he did not. Well, he kind of did. I mean, he did.
He hit it.
I mean, it was the most devastating jackknife, and it's called a jackknife, which, like, maybe that should be like how it goes,
But the Super Brawl one also is from the wide hard cam angle. This is like right in there.
Yeah.
And you're watching it's like the best possible or worst possible angle you could see this move going how it is by being dead in the ring. So
yeah. But on the way there, it's a lot to get into here. First of all, just kind of sidebar, an underrated element of WCW production. I love how it seems like they never tell the wrestlers when they have pyro, because everybody always seems shocked. Like, oh shit. Rey Mysterio is a big one. He almost like Eric Young falls when the pyro goes off. And I think it was Kevin Nash comes out and he's like, what the hell?
I wanted to say, I'm not sure, but I wanted to say maybe Elizabeth also had that happen when she walks out with Savage later. She kind of was like, just like, even looking at it to me is selling that it spooked you, because you might not freak out, but even noticing it, I'll notice that,
Right. But yeah, another match that was supposed to happen at Starrcade but did not. I forget the exact story. I think Kevin Nash had some sort of health something.
There's plenty of reasons. Yeah, it's very convoluted, because he said it was health reasons, and he said he had like a heart attack, but then I think they found out maybe it was just like an anxiety thing, and but you're not gonna tell him he didn't have one. His dad, I think, maybe passed away from that, so like all these things like were more legitimate than not, but at this time, and everybody's getting paid anyway, it was just bizarre, because it's like your biggest show of the year, and like you'd think this guy would want to work it,
and that was like a heavily advertised match too for Starrcade. So
yes. So I'm glad. Well, they kind of turned it into something like we brought up in the opener, where there's money involved, and they can't touch each other before this. So like we really are going to amplify it, because we didn't have So that match didn't happen at Starrcade. It happens here. Hogan and Sting have a terrible finish at Starrcade. They don't have a match here. They got to have it at the next one. A whole bunch of these like mistakes, or let's try it again, and the ref bumping the Larry Scott Hall match. So like nothing can just ever happen for WCW, which that's why another reason why they got killed.
Add it to the list. But yeah, we mentioned it. There was like each guy, Giant and Kevin Nash, had to put up $1.5 million, I think it was, which is very specific. Right. And if they touched each other, I think what the deal was, and then they had to pay the money. But apparently you're allowed to throw coffee in the face of the other guy.
Seemingly.
So why didn't Giant? Because Nash did that to Giant. Why didn't Giant just get something and throw it in Nash's face? Big dumb pussy.
That is a good call. Now, is this before or after the alleged Eddie Guerrero Bischoff coffee incident?
Oh, I have no idea.
Seems to be too on brand for this to be, Eric books what he knows. But I think that I feel like if it would have happened, it would have happened later in '98, when Eddie was more of a established star. What say I tell you?
I guess I just assumed that happened like towards the tail end of his run. 98 it happened. It doesn't say which.
Oh, well Eddie's not even a part of this show. So why? Oh my God. If it happens in the beginning and he's not available for this show because it was controversial, maybe that's why.
Don't know. He did. Now you mention it, Eddie did, because he was like cruiserweight champion. He was in the mix. He was kind of hot. And on the TV, he's been losing a lot. He lost to Rick Martel cleanly. He lost to Jericho. I mean, maybe that's kind of just how they book things, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe there could be something to that. But
yeah, I think I don't know. I'm just seeing him be out for a while, and then beginning in '98, like in March, maybe he kind of gets back in the swing of things. So I don't know. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it seemingly was later in '98 because it has Guerrero states that Bischoff accidentally knocked his coffee off the table. Then it was a complete accident that he was hit.
What a stupid thing.
Guerrero later returned to WCW, leading to the belief that maybe Eddie's angry speeches against Bischoff were a work. Guerrero later confirmed it to be a worked shoot, but then would later contradict himself on WWE's Monday Night War DVDs, claiming that he tried to put personal differences aside for the good of the company, yet found himself more angry and outraged once Bischoff's supposed continued refusal to elevate him and other wrestlers. So, like, it wasn't a work. It was all. That's the thing. He did what Hulk Hogan said you can't do. You can't work yourself into a shoot, brother.
But you could shoot yourself into a work. Renegade. But we have Nash versus Giant here. Battle of the big men.
Yeah.
Not a bad match, I guess, for, who I always think it's interesting with these big man versus big man matches because it forces each guy to wrestle like normal, like they're doing like they're like headlocks and back suplexes and leapfrogs.
And topes to the outside.
Kevin Nash, pioneer of the X division. Kevin Nash. I always thought it was a rib. I thought it was a joke. I thought he was goofing. This man pulls out like an Undertaker dive over the top rope. Not as, far as the Undertaker does it, but
he's like Undertaker's body type is more not agile, but he's leaner to where he can get his body up and over. Kevin Nash, like his legs are so like long, and it's tough for him to clear that rope. Yeah. So he did it, but I'm not going to criticize the guy for giving that shot, for God's sake. The spot was still really cool.
He's also coming off a knee injury, I believe, which is the story of his career. But yeah, I mean, he does do
blocked on Twitter. Made a quad joke.
Man, oh man. Yeah, the finish obviously is what anybody will talk about in terms of this match. But before that, any other spots in here stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I just had the crowd was kind of dead for a lot of this, but at certain points they cheered up. Especially, again, I've said it before on the show, I'll say it again. The choke slam taunt, just like everybody goes nuts when he does
coming out to no music too, and the crowd's still hype.
Yep. And he hits that taunt, and then he hit it in the match, and he hits the choke slam on Bischoff, which was epic, from the ring apron all the way into the ring, one fell swoop. I thought that was awesome. And then he goes to do the choke slam taunt again. And as soon as he turns around, he gets the coffee in his face. That was the comedic timing was incredible. So I'm like, this guy, carafe. Yeah. Well, it was the pot. He brought the pot in, which was the funniest thing. He just took it straight from the coffee maker and said, "You know what? This will work."
Because it was Hogan that threw it in. Was Hogan out there? Yeah.
Hogan was there because as soon as the power bomb gets hit on the Giant, first of all, you can see Hogan like he looks down and starts walking away like, oh my God, he killed him. You got to rewatch it because he can he can tell like this could be very, very awful that it just happened. Yet they cut to him. He goes, "I taught him that move." I'm like, of all the times to claim you gave a guy the move here, not when you almost killed the Giant in the center of the ring on pay-per-view. But Eric Bischoff sold the chokeslam very well. He was out for like 2 minutes, I think. On the floor, he was just eyes closed, just out. And I always applaud the guys that aren't wrestlers that sell better. I mean, even as of this recording, yesterday, Eric Andre gets involved purely for a promotional tie-in, but he takes splashes from Jacob Fatu, and it looked really, really good how he was getting like carried out of the ring. Like, all I want is you to try. You know, don't we all know what this is, but just like don't let other people that may be naive know what this is.
Create
because
the illusion.
that's how you hook the younger fans in. By you gotta suspend that disbelief. So Eric Bischoff sound like that. Eric Bischoff, Eric Andre, huh? So
there's something.
There's something there. But yeah, this is like a legendary spot for better or worse. I mean, I can recite that audio as if it's tattooed in my head, like Rick Martel's theme song in your brain. But just the fact that he even tried the move again, like he did it at Super Brawl last year, and almost 11 months later, and he's like, you know what, I want to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my God. And they're lucky that he was fine, quote unquote. Now they wrote it into the story and made him wear a neck brace. And then let's cut to action figures again. They released the 2-pack of these guys, and Giant comes with a white neck brace. So they just played up the whole thing, even though it was clearly unintentional.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want that to happen, and it could have been a lot worse. But the fact that he ended up fine, and they were able to play it up into the story, ended up, I guess, a net positive. I don't know if
overall
Paul White would tell you that, but another, like, obviously Giant, huge guy, hard to powerbomb, obviously.
Yeah,
but he's also covered in coffee, so he's slippery, which is an element that I never really captured before. So he's fucking wet. Well, I guess everybody's sweaty, so maybe it's always slippery. But
that's where that's the hill you're gonna die on.
That's not that. It's just a hill. It's a hill that's there.
It's not that he's 450 pounds. And
I'm saying it didn't help. You know,
a power bomb.
Kevin Nash is a strong fella. He can lift.
I think
450 pounds, but not when it's wet.
That is the most obscene thing I've ever heard on this show. You're crediting the potential botch of the century to
he was wet.
The kayfabe coffee.
You think it was working coffee?
Well, it was working hot coffee.
But okay, that's not any, hot, wet, or hot, cold, still
moist. My thought was, boy, can you imagine the wrestlers of Bret Hart and Ric Flair getting ready to come out to their match, and they go, you had to put fucking coffee on the ring mat before our match. You couldn't let it be dry. You couldn't hit him with a chair.
Nope, that'd be nonsense.
But if I ever get to ask Kevin Nash a question, I'm going to say, so it wasn't Paul White's size, it was the coffee that made you drop him on his head. Was that true?
You know what? He does like a Q&A on his podcast. I'm going to shoot him a tweet.
Well, you're going to have to, because I can't. I'm blocked.
I'll send it in your regards or whatever, on your behalf.
Okay, I'll take it. And put this clip in there too.
I'll keep you abreast of the situation as we move on.
Great.
But cool. Giant's dead. Kevin Nash wins. Or did Kevin Nash even win, or was it a DQ situation?
Oh no, he won. After they kind of were like, all right, I think he's like fine. They were like, well, this has to be the finish. Then what are we gonna? Were you kidding me? You're gonna have him get up from that? So they had him pin him, and that was it.
Yeah, and they I don't think they stretcher out Giant. I don't know if you have a stretcher big enough for him, but
there's a match you need to watch. Sid Vicious versus Elegante in a stretcher match.
I'm very intrigued by the premise, so yeah, we'll check that out.
Super Brawl 1. Oh, another pivotal moment that happened at the Super Brawl.
Super Brawl is
Rey Mysterio getting unmasked. Rick Martel at Super Brawl 8, and then the Scott Steiner heel turn. Elegante versus Sid Vicious at the original Super Brawl.
It's the showcase of the Immortals. Super Brawl.
Super Brawl Saturday? Which is
I don't know what it's called.
Saturday. But it was sold out Saturday.
Well, it's speaking of the Immortals, we got two of them right here.
Oh yeah.
Two legends. And the WCW debut of one. We got Bret Hart versus Ric Flair. Man, I am so again watching the TVs, the Nitros, the Thunders, what have you. I'm very surprised at how quickly Bret Hart's run just sucked. Like from the gate, like from the opening bell. It was just he's I mean, this match is fine. I'm not talking about this match. he just doesn't care about anything. Maybe it's just Bret. Maybe it's just his deadpan, whatever. But like,
You don't
man,
think it's the utilization of him? Like, were they allowed to? Was he allowed to? Because if he leaves November 9, 97, I guess 60 days would have been like it would have passed for this pay-per-view, but like 90 days would have taken him well past that. Like, was there no way he could have, because he was in WCW by Starrcade, he couldn't have wrestled at Starrcade?
I feel like he could have.
I'm not gonna. I mean, he does have a monotone disposition, but I don't think I've ever blamed Bret for how his run went in WCW. WCW. It's so funny because WWF is we talked about it earlier. They are the entertainment capital, and it's the Attitude Era, and there's this, and there's chaos, and a guy like Bret Hart just doesn't really fit there, yet he had fit leading up to that, and I think he would have done great, actually, in the full-fledged Attitude Era. I think it would have been very interesting to see what he could have pulled off, especially with like DX in the height of it, and who knows if Austin has his run and all that stuff. But
him and Rock.
Right. So Bret and Triple H, I would have been interested in for sure. Like actually Triple H, not just Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Right.
But Bret going to WCW, I would have thought, oh my God, him versus Flair and him versus, and he did get to do the Benoit matches and Booker T and stuff like that. But when it's Hogan at the top, it's going to be very tough to get something like that in. And when they bring in Bret, you're thinking like, wait, man, WCW can, of all places, is going to utilize him well. Although ECW could have utilized him too, I guess to an extent, because they had good wrestlers. But that's a whole nother video I'm sure you could make. But
Sandman versus Bret Hart,
once in a lifetime. But they didn't know what to do with Bret. I mean, again, the fact that he's a referee, like you really couldn't have, even if you shoehorn him in to Starrcade in a match. Couldn't have been a showcase match against someone lower level, even in the NWO, or just like anything to be like, hey, Bret Hart is here. Because you put him in the main event, but he's not wrestling. So, like, is he really a main eventer then? Like, I think they failed from the jump. They didn't know what to do with him. And I think it was doomed from the start, to be honest with you. His best stuff happened way, way later when they had nothing. When it was like him in the tournament at Mayhem 99 to win the world title and like the Goldberg stuff. But that was literally the last 2 months of it. So,
yeah, no, definitely the booking. I mean, that ultimately was the reason for his failed run, I would say. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's just him and Ric Flair. Like the whole build is like, first of all, I mean, Bret Hart's debut in WCW is just like kind of just like an indescript promo segment on Nitro. It's not really built up. It's like, hey, Bret Hart's here, and then Bret comes out. Terrible music, by the way, but I just need to throw that out there. It's just
not much they could do there. Well, he had iconic music in WWF, so it's going to be very tough to kind of flip it. Not every day do we get a better song in WCW than WWF, like I think with
American Made. Yeah,
right. So can't all be winners.
I don't hate it, but and yeah, the build-up's just like, you know, Ric Flair doesn't like Bret because Bret says that he's the best he was, ever will be. And Ric's like, no, I'm the best. And Bret's like, nah, I think I am. And then Ric's like, yeah, why don't you say your catchphrase again? And then Bret's like, all right. And he says it. And Ric's like, hey, no, I'm the best. And Bret's like, I think I'm the best. So now we got a match here to see who's the best.
I put that Bret versus Flair is a shoot feud because Bret had always, am I crazy? Didn't he do the drawing of Ric Flair and he had like a big nose and was like bleeding out? Like, so I think like there was always some sort of animosity between the two. Look, they worked together in 92 when Flair was in WWF. I mean, Bret won his first world title off of Ric Flair. And they worked early into 93 before Flair went back to WCW. So it's not like these guys didn't have anything, but that was 92. And you're 6 years, give it 5 or 6 years later, Bret is a multiple-time world champion and had a hell of a run since beating Flair in that match. Flair has since come back to WCW and also had a hell of a run, also winning the world title multiple times. So like now they're at a certain spot, but it's like Bret's coming into Ric's territory. And Ric's just like, well, I'm already here. So like prove to me that you're better than me. So I have it as a shoot feud. Both these guys, especially as the longer life goes and you see how bitter Bret can be and how confident he is in himself, which again, I'm not going to deny that. He is.
Yeah.
A lot of people would consider him the best that there ever was. And a lot of people would say the same thing about Flair. So I felt that the feud worked that way. But to your point, say it again. That really sells pay-per-views, man.
Yeah, and although I will say, I'll give him credit with WCW and all the shenanigans and all the NWO and the heel turns and the run-ins and the gimmicks, and it is nice to just have a match that's just two wrestlers wrestling, especially in this with the spotlight.
I thought the same thing, and the fact that the match ended clean.
Which is crazy. I mean, to see a clean finish in WCW.
Definitively clean, center of the ring with a submission and no outside interference. I was like, this is the most refreshing thing I've ever seen.
It was. I mean, especially with everything that's happened thus far in the show. It's
I know,
it was a good palate cleanser. Palate cleanser right before the main event, but or the third part of the main event, but
the real main event.
The main event. There's only one Michael Buffer intro, pal. You know what I'm saying? So
your favorite.
My guy. But yeah, Bret Flair, I mean, there's no way this could be a bad match. It was in a lot of ways a greatest hits type of match, but I thought it was very good. I mean, you have all the classic, Bret working the leg, or Bret working the back, Rick working the legs, all the signature moves that you could imagine from both guys. And then Bret ends up winning with the sharpshooter in the middle of the ring. And Rick taps out pretty quickly due to all of the work, the backbreakers, etc. So again, just a very solid match. Not a ton of crazy notes I have about it. It was just two great wrestlers having a great wrestling match.
You couldn't have picked two better wrestlers to have a greatest hits match. People will say greatest hits and almost kind of not pawn it off as a negative, but it can be construed as, well, we've seen this before, therefore it's not as interesting as the first time we saw it. I could watch these guys have a match any day of the week because, their greatest hits is some of the best stuff you've seen in wrestling, and they apply it to every other wrestler, and it's also great. I mean, how many matches have happened, and it's like, well, Bret clearly carried that guy to the great match, or Ric Flair carried that guy to a great match. So when you have them both together, it's like, I mean, this is going to be quality. You're not going to be disappointed, and I wasn't at all. Did you notice the bald guy in the front row that had his whole head painted like the 6 ball?
No, I did not.
Well, you should have.
Wonderful.
Again, WCW, man, for whatever Tony Schiavone had a rough patch there, and Mike Tenay came back in, and Tony regained his bearings. But seriously, I love that WCW didn't shy away from acknowledging that other wrestling exists. And they were like, yeah, Bret has 5 world titles from his days in the World Wrestling Federation. And I'm like, yep, that really happened. Thank you for telling me, because WWE would be like, who is this newcomer Sting? We've never seen this guy before. It's like, all right.
He's wrestled all around the world.
Yeah, come on, just to be honest. And if anything, it just proves that this guy is worth this spot. He's won 5 world titles in a place that everybody knows. And even if you're a casual wrestling fan, you go, oh, wow. Or if you'd seen Bret Hart early and then you became a WCW fan and you hear, wow, Bret Hart was a 5-time WWF champion. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
He really had a good career there. And now he's here. So I love that. And then you say, greatest hits. Well, there wouldn't be a greatest hits for Ric Flair if there wasn't a low blow. But the sequence was Ric Flair talking to Bret, and then he tells Billy Silverman, the referee, hey, could you go check the time of the match real quick? And he goes over and does it, and then Flair turns around and low blows Bret, where Bobby Heenan says, oh, there's that trick knee again.
This dumb referee. Oh, okay, I'll turn my back and go ask how much time's left. It's like, why would he? I don't know.
So Bobby says, there's that trick knee again, and then proceeds to explain, when you're in wrestling for so long and you start to spasm and you just never know. And he starts really like just talking crazy after that. He doesn't actually finish that sentence because he's just trying to filibuster an excuse for Flair. And Schiavone just flat out says, "You know what? You're an idiot."
Tony's had enough.
Like,
He's been through a lot.
Tony's had a hell of a show here, going through the rigmaroles of being at this commentary desk and his best friend turning on him. I live by the man. And then last thing, or two things, but Billy Silverman, the opposite of Nick Patrick, the antithesis. I loved his referee cadence. I thought it was very apt. Not too quick, not too slow. Kind of what happened at Starrcade 97, but it shouldn't have been. It should have been a fast count. But I thought
I didn't notice, but that's a good thing.
This is yes. So I love that. Go rewatch it. He's an underrated referee, I think. Billy Silverman.
I'll go look at the tape.
Really not in the pantheon of great or well-known referees, but he is.
Sure.
And then, everybody's said it. I think the guys at OSW, OSW Review have referred to it as Bret's rope, but that middle rope elbow to Flair.
Oh yeah.
The camera is right here on Flair, and like, if you miss, if you do something wrong, it's gonna be for everybody to see at home. And he just does it right in front of the camera. It looks perfect. Like he nailed him. And I'm like, again, these are the best guys that have ever done this, seemingly. So I was just happy to see that happen like that. Then two guys throwing their best stuff out there for a random WCW pay-per-view in January. But I'll take it.
Yeah, again, Bret Hart's debut. It's still kind of surreal to see him in a WCW ring.
Oh wait, you mean?
I think he does it after the match too, right?
He does it right as he turns the sharpshooter on. He does it to the crowd, and then he did it after the match to the crowd. Yeah. But it's just funny, like that's his new gimmick ever since he did it at Survivor.
Yeet.
That, or this could be another little nugget to lay credence to Scott Hall's thought that it could have been a work this whole time. Like,
it works
because the screw job.
Yeah.
Like him doing the WCW thing at the end of Survivor Series, but now he's using it as like a taunt. Like, it just seems like a conjured up thing. Like, go do that after this match happens. Like, signal you're going to WCW. I don't know. I don't care how. So like, if he's still pulling from that, it doesn't seem as organic as he did it there. Like, he's doing it again. Like, it made sense at the screw job, but he's utilizing it as like a taunt in WCW. I don't buy that. So that makes me think like it was a thing created back in Montreal. But, you know,
it's a part of his brand now.
I always liked Scott Hall's thought on that. Like, his biggest hang up, which I agree with, is if this really was a shoot, then why, when Bret spits on Vince McMahon, is the camera then right in on Vince McMahon's face with spit on it? Because they make movies, pal. Like, it's not. If it was like, I'm not gonna take any more time on it, but like, I think
I will say though,
if it were a shoot, I think, you know,
that camera shot was not until like the show ended, and then Bret spit on Vince. It wasn't until after the fact that they caught that.
True, but they still aired it.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. You could argue that they had to lead into it. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, to me, if you're going to do this is, I think, my biggest like overarching point, knowing what we know now, and Bret being bitter, but Bret not just being not him being bitter, but just being stubborn, I think plays positively in him not keeping kayfabe alive, but like always keeping a mystique of something. And to me, if you were, the fact that the Wrestling with Shadows documentary there is also a little fishy.
Yeah.
But Bret Hart is like the most perfect, like Benoit, but in another sense of like, I believe everything Bret says about pro wrestling because he was as wrestler gets. So if you were ever going to do a storyline where you could trust that the guy that is going to get the brunt of it would never tell that it was a work, Bret Hart is that guy.
Yeah. He's trying to keep the kayfabe alive. If there's anyone that's going to do it, it's Bret.
Because what does it help him if he admits that it was a work? Nobody.
Yeah.
Because everybody's already pissed at Vince, and like it would have worked out perfectly. I don't know. Because Bret reconciled too. I don't know if you can reconcile if they really screwed you over that bad. Maybe.
Hey, times do heels. Or bones do. What's that Ronnie Garvin promo? You know what I'm talking about? Bones do heels. I have a mind like an elephant. I'm gonna do you like an elephant. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, it's good stuff from Flair and Bret. And that brings us to the Michael Buffer main event.
The real main event.
Randy Savage versus Lex Luger. Feels weird that this is the last match, no?
It feels shoehorned in. This is a great rematch from their match at World War III 95.
Okay, sure.
And you'll see this well, I'm also going to tie this in. You'll see this at World War III 98, where main events are just whatever they want to put on last, because the World War III 98 main event is not the Battle Royal. It's a United States title match between Bret and DDP. So like whatever they want to put on last is just going to be the main event, whether it's kind of dictated or not. Because why would you have the World War III main event be not the match that the whole entire show is made from?
That'd be insane. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is the closing angle I can see, like the last imagery you see in the show. I could see how that would. It's whatever, but not like a ton. I mean, Macho, they're really painting him like this psychopath, which I guess, you know,
is painting him. I mean, he is.
But they're highlighting that fact, I guess, more so. Taking on Lex Luger. It's more just kind of like NWO versus WCW. There's kind of like a Liz, which, by the way, I don't know where we are with the Liz. Like, is she still with Randy at this point? Is she with Lex? Are we still far away? I don't know if that has anything to do with the.
No, I would say I could be off here, but I think the Luger Liz stuff really happened more in 99. Like, they clearly were friends and stuff. So I don't know if anything happened in 98, but in later 99, he becomes the total package, just the total package. Like, he just has that gimmick change. But Liz is with him and his manager throughout the end of 99 and throughout that little run. So that's when I think they were probably more on the road together, but I don't know if that could have started earlier. So I could be wrong, but
who knows?
If they're working together here, it's very conceivable. But
yeah, and Liz is a big part of this match. She keeps getting involved, tripping up Lex and whatnot. At some point, Lex grabs Liz by the hair, but Liz slaps him. And yeah, honestly, I don't have a ton of notes on this match outside of the finish. What'd you make of this bad boy?
Yeah, so I mean, I said the crowd was kind of dead for this because you had so much before this.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the quote. So they brought up, and I brought it up before too, of just like how much I loved Saturday night pay-per-views, but they've said, oh, and we don't know whatever's going to happen on Nitro. Well, Nitro's in 2 days because tonight is Saturday, which is normal. But then he followed up by saying, like, tomorrow we're going to watch WCW's Reggie White in the Super Bowl. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, they lucked into, they had Reggie White, who was on the Packers at the time, and they had him wrestle at Slamboree 97, I think, against
Mongo, right?
Mongo. They had him kind of involved. And it's like, all right, now we have him, and now he's in the biggest.
Now he's our guy,
game. So we could say we could watch our own Reggie White in the Super Bowl tomorrow. So they can parlay that, and this is why we're having the show on Saturday too. Clearly, So I thought that was a great way to tie all that stuff together. Yeah, the end though is cool. I like the friction between Hall and Hogan because it is kind of strengthening Hall's case for wanting to have the world title opportunity. And if you think Hogan was going to end up winning at Super Brawl, then it would have to be Hogan versus Hall at Uncensored. Now,
right,
it doesn't happen, but they have to present that opportunity as it could happen. And, the finish kind of dictates that. So go ahead.
No, yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, Scott Hall comes out towards the end as Lex is making his comeback, all the forearms and whatnot, the classic Lex stuff.
The forearm.
The titanium enforced forearm comes out, and then Scott comes out with a chair, and Hogan immediately follows him, tries to pull him back, and as they're bickering, Scott Hall gets on the apron, he gets knocked off, and Lex locks in the rack onto Macho Man, and he immediately submits. And Lex gets the win in the main event, a relatively clean finish, not totally, but then Hogan immediately jumps Lex right after the bell, and the rest of the NWO comes out. They're all beating up on Lex Luger, but then it's Sting comes out. Doesn't repel, he just kind of runs out there.
That's what I was saying earlier. The mystique's all gone. He's coming out from the back. It was a month after his greatest match ever, and
but crowd still loves Sting. The crowd comes in glued for him. Yeah. Takes out everybody. But then when him and Sting and Hogan start going at it, the crowd like erupts even more. Lex locks in the rack onto Kevin Nash, which was quite an image.
Especially because he held him in there for 15 seconds as Sting has Hogan in the corner, and he's just working him over with punches, but he sees that Luger's got Nash in the rack, and he's like, well, I got to make sure this lasting image actually happens. So Hogan just like stumbles and gets on the ground so that he can be put in the Scorpion to get the dual image. But Sting and Luger reconnecting to close a pay-per-view in 98, it was pretty cool to see because they had such a history dating back in the late 80s throughout the years, and now they're back seemingly for this little bit here. And for all we said about the multiple main events, damn it, they closed the pay-per-view hot with a little angle here, so I can't be mad at that.
Yeah, no, it was again just that last imagery of the dual submissions and Sting and Lex being on top. Like you said, good way to end the show. Kind of the matches, whatever, is more about the post stuff, but ultimately, and that brings Sold Out to a close.
Yeah,
solid pay-per-view. I mean, from a scale of 0 to 100, what do you think you throw at it?
Oh man, so there was good stuff, a lot of stuff in the beginning of the show that I liked, bits and pieces throughout the show that I also liked as we got towards the end, and I count like memorable stuff or memory-inducing things as like factors into my score. So I mean, like the Kevin Nash power bomb is absolutely like going to help the score here. The Dusty heel turn and how that all kind of happened definitely helps in this. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I'm gonna have to say a 70, a 7 out of 10, 70%. I think it's above average, but it's not anything great. Again, it's a January pay-per-view. It's a hell of a step up from Sold Out 97, because that was a one-match show for all intents and purposes, the ladder match between Syxx and Eddie Guerrero. So this is so much better. It had luchadors. It had hard-hitting stuff in the mid-card, which is great. And then the main event stuff, Dusty turning and the crazy power bomb and Sting coming out at the end, like a lot of big moments that were peppered throughout the final parts of the show to kind of keep it afloat. So that's where I'd stand. I'd say 7 out of 10.
And it's about moments, pal. It's a big part of what we do. What we do. I mean, what
that was pretty good.
But what you do is the Juicebox Podcast. Once again, Juicy J, appreciate you hopping on the show, talk a little WCW. Where can everybody find you and listen to your velvety tones talk about all things professional wrestling?
Well, you can first argue with me on the artist formerly known as X, Twitter, as I still like to refer to it. And that's at Juicy Steen, as you can see in my little nameplate here. I'm always throwing out not hot takes, just takes, because it's up to the eye of the beholder to disagree or agree with me. But you can listen to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen anywhere you listen to podcasts. I always used to say Fridays, but then I work and I don't have time to record stuff, and I recorded it on Saturdays. But one new episode of content guaranteed every single week. And I've been doing that since January of 2023. So I pride myself on that. More often than not, you can catch me on the No Dirt, Just Dialogue show with Jordan Carter and Andrew Vidala on Thursdays at Final Bell Media's YouTube page. So check me out there as well. But just follow me at Juicy Steen on Twitter, and that's where you'll find wherever I'm going. So I appreciate you having me on here again. The catalog of shows that we're doing is growing. I think we've done one of every company other than TNA. I don't think we've done a TNA one yet, but I'm sure we will.
An ROH too.
Oh, Ring of Honor. Yeah, I don't think we've done that either.
Maybe we'll delve into that at some point.
Now, are you doing Ring of Honor in order, like a timeline? So where are you at with that?
Just got to 2005. I just did March. No, I just did February of 05. So pretty good time period for Ring of Honor. So if you ever wanted to hop in, still kind of early, but still pretty good.
Yeah, I you say 05 and I'm like, oh well, you're almost to 07, but like you take so much longer. Like
there's a lot of a lot of shows. They do multiple shows a month.
I know, because my bread and butter was like right when the like the Age of the Fall thing happened.
That was me too.
And I'm like, I was so locked in, and like Steen Erico and
Nigel as champion.
All the guys, and Danielson was still there, and Morishima and Jost, like these guys that like this core of the early 2000s or late 2000s rather, I guess for the decade, that's what they call it now. But that was where I really got into, man, this is not WWE, but it's like kind of like ECW, and it's different than TNA, and it's exciting. Yeah. And I realized like, wow, it's been around for a bit, and like CM Punk and some of these guys were there. So I'd be down to do a Ring of Honor show. We'll see when we can fit that in.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby Heenan was just on the show that I just most recently watched of Ring of Honor, so you never know who's going to show up.
They definitely had some people peppered in that you might not realize did it. So
Mick Foley, Jim Cornette.
I remember that too. Yeah, Cornette was there as well. Yeah, wow.
Well, lots of people getting dropped on their heads too, similar to this, so you'll like it. You'll be right at home.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's usually on purpose in Ring of Honor.
No coffee.
You probably find a cup of Joe somewhere.
Samoa Joe?
Once again, thank you to Juicy J from the Juice Box Wrestling Podcast for joining the show today. Is always a lovely, lovely time with my boy Juice Springsteen. Go check out the Juice Box Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. All of his information in the description below. Let's get into what everybody came for, and let's hit that goddamn jingle, Bartholomew. WCW, ECW, WWF, who's the hardest promotion? Eric or Vince or Paulie? I think we can agree, though. Heck, Myers is the shit. Alrighty then. The hardest promotion battle of 1998 gets underway here. It is where we pit WWF against WCW against ECW to see which promotion was the best in 1998. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sharing my screen here. You can follow along. If you're listening in audio land, I'll talk you through it as well. So none to worry there, folks. But we'll get into all of the scoring and whatnot. But the first thing we got to do, and this will all feed into it, is grade this show from a scale of 0 to 100. What are we thinking, gang? What are we thinking? Sold Out 1998, 0 to 100. I thought it was a fine show. I think it started really hot and then kind of tapered off a little bit. Shit, dude. I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad. Look, we gave Royal Rumble a 75, House Party a 67. Is it better than the Royal Rumble is the question. I think it's close, but I think it's just below. I'm thinking maybe 73. What do we think, gang? What do we think? 73 out of 100 for Sold Out 1998. I think that's pretty fair. Because there's some good stuff on the show. Some good story beats. Some misses. But overall, I think 73 is fair. 73 feels good. So what we do now is not much to average because each show has only one event so far. But as of right now, the company with the highest average grade for their pay-per-views is the WWF. My goodness. So what that means is, as we go over to this tab here, we got the overall scoreboard here. And basically what we have here, it's similar. It's pretty much the same thing as 1997, if you're familiar with 1997. We have an overall section where we look at, which company has the best, highest average pay-per-view score, which as of right now is WWF. So we'll go ahead and enter that here. So WWF gets 15 points. You can see the points on the right-hand side. So they get those 15 points, and that when that is entered, you can see here the score at the bottom automatically translates to points for the World Wrestling Federation. And we'll fill out the rest of the points here, but just to quick explain it here, we have the best pay-per-views, like we just mentioned, best TV. So it's just looking at just in general, who has the best TV product among these three companies. And then we have in-ring and out-of-ring. So who has the best in-ring, who has the best out-of-ring. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. In-ring being, the bell-to-bell stuff. Out-of-ring being pretty much everything else. All the characters, the storylines, the production, all that stuff. And then we move on to the best and the worst section. So this has seen a bit of a tweak since last year. First of all, I've given it before the best categories got 5 points and the worst got -3 points. Here I've made it just 5 across the board. So 5 and -5. Before I was like, worse is kind of like less indicative of the company. It can just be a random thing, but the more I thought about it, like best it can be too. So they should be the same point values. So, and for each best and worst, we look at the best match, best and worst match, best and worst in-ring wrestler, best and worst character, best and worst storyline, and best and worst segment. So we have 5 criteria for the best and 5 for the worst. I said before in 1997, we had character and storyline in one thing. And now I've split it out into 2 different criterias. In wrestler, I have specified in-ring. So wrestler is just the in-ring quality of the wrestler who's doing the best. Now, character might sway if it's like between 2 guys that are kind of similar. Yeah, one guy might have a better character and that might give him the edge in that category. But the emphasis on in-ring wrestler will be obviously their in-ring bell-to-bell stuff. So, and then we have excitement going into 1999 here at the bottom, which will not get filled out until the end of the year, but that is there as well. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's quit dilly-dallying. Best TV. Now, not a lot has changed since 1997. Ultimately, we are only 3 or 4 weeks into the year. So it's still early. However, here's a main driver in something that has changed since 1997. WCW Thunder has debuted. And it's been kind of, told over the years, obviously with hindsight. And with this, I try not to take into account hindsight. But, even in, the early days, it's clear that it's already starting to spread them a little thin here, them being WCW. Because you got Thunder's 2 hours, Nitro's 2 hours, and it is about to transition. I believe the night after sold out. Nitro is now about to be 3 hours long, in addition to the 2 hours of Thunder. And obviously, you got your Saturday nights, you got your pros, you got your worldwide, like so much content in WCW. And on top of that, like the NWO may or may not starting to be spinning their wheels a little bit, among other things in the company. So WCW's TV product, I think, is going to start suffering. Hasn't yet, though. As of January 24th, honestly, guys, I think WWF Raw is better than Nitro. I think WWF, because it's really just Raw, right? They might have, they have Superstars still around. I don't even know. They might have some other offshoot show, whatever, but it's about Raw. I think WWF has the best TV product. Stone Cold is red hot. DX is starting to find its stride. You got the New Age Outlaws. You got Undertaker and Kane. There's a lot of good stuff happening in WWF. We may or may not. We'll touch on this more with whatever the next WWF show is. I think it's No Way Out. But we're in the midst of the Tyson and Austin stuff. I mean, great googly moogly. And ECW's fine. They don't have a lot going on as of yet, but they're still kind of just building to living dangerously. But I think Raw, WWF, I think has currently the best TV product. among the three companies as of right now. Still very early, but as of right now. Best in-ring product. This one, I think they held on to this for pretty much the entirety of 1997, and I still think they hold this. WCW, I still think, has the best in-ring product. And I've said it before, it's still true. It was true in 97, it's still true in 98 as of right now. WCW just has a more well-rounded kind of toolbox of wrestlers. But the cruiserweights alone are carrying the load for their in-ring, but it's consistently very good. We had a few matches on this show that we just covered. But then you have your Benoits, you have your Jericho. I mean, these are also kind of cruiserweights too, but Ric Flair, Bret Hart, we talked about on this show. Chris Benoit, Raven. Like, the shows that are outside of the cruiserweights are also still very good. And the main event stuff is fine. WWF, you're good for like one good match per show, maybe. ECW, kind of the same thing. ECW's kind of just, they do their ECW thing, and their thing is not in-ring quality, generally, at least not better than WCW as of this present moment. So WCW holds on to those 10 points, or they grab those 10 points. A best out of ring. So this is like the overall characters, the storylines, like the entire collection of their out of ring presentation, also taking into account the promos and, the different segments and the vignettes and all that stuff, right? Overall presentation. Maybe this could even be like presentation instead of best out of ring, but don't know. WCW, I didn't like all of the stuff with all of the lawyers getting involved, the performance bond bullshit. Very like lame, and I get it. They're kind of trying to have like a realistic tone to it, like a sports-based tone, but I think and the Bret Hart, Ric Flair stuff was kind of bad. And a lot of other stuff was very repetitive, like the Benoit and Flock stuff. A lot of the titles are kind of just flipping willy-nilly. Like, I don't know how strong WCW's out of ring is right now. Whereas WWF, I feel like, is very strong. Not to just be a fucking fed shill. ECW is pretty strong though, too. I don't think they're strong. I don't think they're stronger than the WWF. I think WWF holds on, or they grab these 10 points. So, and WWF, I mean, they were kind of in last place for most of 1997. And they're coming out in 1998 strong, baby. Man, pretty reminiscent of the ratings graphs here in 98. Starting to take control here. But so as of right now, WWF has 40 points, WCW with 10, ECW with 0. But let's move on to the best section. Match of the year. Best match of the year. Not a ton to pick from. Let me even like pull up Cage Match, and because there has been like shows on Nitros and Raws, but I don't know if really any of those are in contention. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. House Party 1998. Refresh my mem. They did have the Sabu Sandman match, which was very good. That might be in contention, which is funny because it was the worst match of 1998 or of 1997. So Sabu Sandman. So it's between Sabu Sandman from House Party, Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble had some gems on it, if I remember correctly. I mean, the match itself kind of sucked, I think. But the rest of the card, the casket match between Shawn and Taker is very good. That's pretty much it. Vader Goldust was actually pretty fun. I don't know if that's match of the year caliber, but deserves a shout. So here's my thought, right? Best match of the year. Right now it's in between, and it's early, so it's gonna change probably, but right now it's in between Shawn Taker casket match from Royal Rumble, or it's Sandman Sabu from ECW House Party, or Benoit Raven from Sold Out, or Jericho Ray. Jericho Ray was pretty good. I think we talked about it. Some of the psychology was a little wonky, so I think that keeps it from being number one. Nitro has a lot of good cruiserweight matches just randomly. The Ray Mysterio Juventud Guerrera match was very good. I'm inclined to even throw that in here. I don't know if we talked about it on the episode, but that might be worth. Is it better than Shawn Taker casket match, though? Didn't really have a finish, which is kind of a mark on it. Sabu Sandman was fun. It wasn't good. I don't know. Golly, man. Sabu Sandman. For some reason, that's calling me. No, I'm gonna give it to Shawn and Taker. No. Fuck, man. Again, it doesn't matter too much. It's probably gonna change. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Sabu Sandman. Just because I think it's the fact that they had such a stinker at November to Remember, and were able to come back and have such a fun match, because it was fun. It was ECW. Keep that in mind. It was a perfect ECW match. Crowd loved it. I loved it. And shout out Sabu and Sandman. House Party 98 Stairway to Hell match gets them the 5 points for ECW. So ECW's finally on the board here. Best in-ring wrestler. Who is the best in-ring wrestler of 1998 so far? You have Rey Mysterio, I think. I'm going to type in Rey Mysterio because that's a name that immediately comes to mind, but we'll see if that sticks. Who else could be here? You could throw in a Jericho. You could throw in a Benoit. You could throw in Shawn Michaels. Again, a lot of these guys have only wrestled once or twice, so it's not. We don't have a big data set to work with. I think Rey Mysterio captures this one. We're gonna go Rey Mysterio for best in-ring wrestler of the year so far. So WCW grabs 5 points. Best character of 1998. I'm going to type in Stone Cold. Is there any? You could throw a Sting in there. Although I don't think Sting has been particularly strong in 1998. I'm going to be honest, guys. Not to this point. Maybe that'll change. Kevin Nash, the Giant. Giant's been low-key like a pretty good character as well. Jericho. Ooh, Jericho. Jericho has gone under a pretty big metamorphosis as a character. It's a bit clumsy, and I don't know if it ages particularly well. But I don't mind the stuff Jericho's doing. He's turning around his career as like right in front of us. But I don't know if that it's just not better than Stone Cold, though. This is one of those things. I mean, 1998, brother. Like, is anybody going to take this away from Stone Cold? Best character? I just don't know. But I think that's where we land for now. So WWF grabs those 5 points. Best storyline of the year. Shit, man. I don't know. What do we got? I'm gonna look at these cage matches again real quick. Shawn Taker, Kane Taker, maybe. You know, we ended Royal Rumble with Kane lighting the casket on fire with Undertaker in it, but then he disappeared. So that's something. Rock, Shamrock, Vader, Goldust, Larry Zbyszko, Scott Hall. Storyline. The Scott Steiner stuff has been fun. Him kind of breaking off on his own. Giant Nash. I'm just kind of looking here and trying to think. When I do these, I don't do research. I kind of just let my heart pull me where it goes. Just Incredible. Al Snow. Ooh, that's Al Snow, the character of the year, actually. Fuck me, dude. Oh, man, that's tough. It's just, man, Stone Cold Steve Austin, dude. Like, man. Again, if there was like a top 3, top 5, Al Snow would definitely be there. Man, I want to put Al Snow on here somewhere. I just don't know if he fits. Would that be considered a storyline, though, is the question. I don't think so. You know what? We are going to go for storyline of the year so far. We are going to go with, wait for it, Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner, what would you say here? Scott Steiner, solo, I guess. Because he hasn't, again, we're not taking into account hindsight, but he has not yet. You can see it coming, right? You could see the breakup coming. It's intriguing. At this point, it's a fresh face potentially into the singles scene. Oh, you could throw Goldberg in here too, man. We're still very early with Goldberg, but we'll go. I mean, it's still WCW. We'll go Scott Steiner. I'm enjoying the Scott Steiner stuff so far. Segment of the year, best segment. Is it Tyson and Austin? It's got to be right. Tyson, Austin. I just don't know if there's been many other segments that really stick out yet. Again, really like 3 weeks into it, but yeah, Tyson and Austin happened the week before Sold Out, so that has happened at this point. We'll just put that there for now. Maybe it'll change at some point, but all right. So that's the best. Let's move on to the worst. Worst match of the year. Who? Nothing really comes to mind like right away, to be honest. Larry Zbyszko, Scott Hall wasn't very good. Ooh, is the dust? Oh, does the Dusty? Sorry, I keep going back and forth. Does the Dusty turn? Is that segment of the year? Because it was kind of a segment, right? I don't know. You know what? It was surprising, but I don't know if it was good. You know what I mean? I don't know. But so maybe not that. But worst match of the year. Bam Bam RVD was pretty bad. Grand Hamada, Grand Naniwa from ECW. Chris Candido, Jerry Lynn wasn't very good. Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble match, maybe even. New Age Outlaws, LOD kind of sucked, I think. What do you guys think? Leave a comment, by the way, if I'm missing anything, or if you disagree with anything, or if you agree, whatever. Not a lot of shows on TV really stick out to me as like super bad. Is Bam Bam RVD that match? I don't think that was like bad though. It was just like not as good as I hoped it would be. It might just be. I want to put the Royal Rumble match, honestly, but like it had enough good to it where I don't think it's the worst of the year. It might be New Age Outlaws LOD. I think that's what it is for now. Again, we're very early in the year. I keep saying it, but just want to reiterate that we're just going off of this point in time as of January 24th. So New Age Outlaws versus LOD. Royal Rumble 98. Not a terrible match, honestly, just not very good. And there has been a lot of good this year. So again, but if I'm missing anything, guys, let me know. Worst in-ring wrestler of the year. Oh, man. Again, like we're in such a fun time. It's like there's not a lot of bad that sticks out. We can't stick with Prince Hayakea again because he hasn't shown up this year. So we gotta go with somebody else. Worst in-ring wrestler. I'm thinking Buff Bagwell. I'm thinking Lex Luger. Perhaps like I don't know, a Van Hammer. No one really. Am I missing somebody? There's gotta be some shitter around here. Goldust is good. Can we just put LOD again? Who's in this Royal Rumble match? Kurgan. I guess Kurgan. Fuck it. We're gonna put Kurgan. He hasn't done anything like monumental, but he is shit. So, and they're still kind of pushing him at this point. So we're gonna roll with Kurgan for now. We'll see if he stays. So WWF racks up another worst of and gets another -5 points. Worst character of the year. Is it also Kurgan? I don't know, dude. Tom Brandy kind of stinks. Mark Marrow. I don't know. Chainsaw Charlie kind of pisses me off. Worst character of the year. The artist formerly known as Goldust. I guess we could still roll with that. He's still doing that. Worst character. Worst character. Ray Trailer kind of stinks. You know what? We're gonna go with the artist formerly known as Goldust. Might not hang around by the end of the year, but for now, he's the worst. So WWF is, they have a lot of the best and a lot of the worst. Looking at the scoreboard, which is very indicative of the time. So, worst storyline of the year so far. Honestly, I don't like Bret and Ric Flair, dude. That might be the worst. I think there was so much potential. Oh, or is it just like in general, like the EC or the WCW title situation? Yeah, I hate that shit, dude. I hate that shit. Is Sting? I might just do Sting Hogan because man, they just bungled it. They bungled it and they continue to bungle it. Yeah, Sting Hogan, worst of the year, which is crazy considering how we ended the 1997. But as of right now, I think it's Sting and Hogan. I mean, is there anything I'm missing? The Larry Zbyszko stuff stinks too. Man, does that belong here? Larry Zbyszko, Scott Hall. I think like there is some gems with the Louis Spicolli stuff though. But yeah, we're gonna leave it as Sting and Hogan. And finally, last but not least, worst segment of the year. Now, man, it's been Miss NWO for years at this point, but now I got to come up with something else. Worst segment of 1998. I was kind of banking on Sold Out having another one, but man, don't know. I mean, it could be a Flair Bret promo. They had a bunch of them. There's none in particular that were bad. They all kind of sucked though. Giant ripping down the ring. It's probably closer to being a best. Worst segment of the year. What do we think, gang? What do we think? Not a lot of bad, dude. It's not a lot of bad. Not yet. I think we might just go Bret Ric Flair promos. Just the potential was there and they just did not meet it. And this could just be Bret Hart. Bret Hart should probably be in one of the worst. It's just, man, super unfortunate, but WCW grabs those -5 points. And with that brings this episode to a close here. And we have set the baseline for the hardest promotion battle of 1998. As of right now, the current score: WWF in the lead with 35 points, WCW in second with 10 points, and ECW in third with 5 points. We've seen how fast things can flip, though. Go check out that hardest promotion battle of 1997 episode if you want proof of that. But that's where we sit now, and that is going to do it, folks. Appreciate you. It's kind of a longer one here, but had to do our due diligence to make sure we're capturing what's hard and what's not hard here. So with that, I will bid you all adieu. I appreciate, once again, everybody tuning in, watching, listening, tasting, all of that stuff. Love you all. Big smooches. All over that face of yours. Mwah. Mwah. I'm hard.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.